and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? I lost confidence midday.
Man. With that Monday mouth, it's hard to tell. But yes, it is Tuesday, Crudy. Happy Tuesday to you, my dear friend. Huge show, exciting day. Always a pleasure to see you and Brian, man.
Quickly, Dom, what's your shirt say?
My shirt says, all I've had today is like 5 gummy bears and some scotch. Little Archer, man, my hero.
You know, whenever I think of gummy bears, modern, because I was never a big fan of the gummy bears until they started infusing the gummy bears
with some THC.
So you start thinking 5 gummy bears and some scotch. Oh, it's going to be a really big show. I'm looking forward to it, Dom.
Breakfast of Champions, Crudy.
A big Tuesday, as some people say. Dominic, it will be a really big show. But before we go there, let's start with the COVID numbers, as has become our tradition here.
Wisconsin Department of Health Services reporting, and here we go. 3,501 new positive confirmed cases out of 7,299 tests given. Crudy, that is an astonishing 48% infection rate. 48%. And I'm going off of my memory here, but I believe that might be the highest percentage rate we have seen in the state of Wisconsin since we've been looking at these numbers.
Yeah, pushing 50%. I would think, statistically speaking, that is the highest positive rate that we've reported on the airwaves. It's a coin flip now.
Right.
So
right?
I said this recently, when the rates were in the low 40s, maybe the upper 30s, between the three of us, somebody probably or theoretically has the COVID. But now between the three of us, me, you, and Fancy Brian,
right.
Chances are like 2 of us have the COVID.
Crudy, also, unfortunately, another 54 Wisconsinites have passed away, and another 184 have been hospitalized due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I hope people enjoyed their Thanksgivings.
Go get tested. I mean, there's testing sites all around. People just go get tested. Go get tested. I mean, if worst case scenario, you get a lot of people get tested that come out as negative. Well, then those percentages go down, right? Republicans. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You can find out if you got it if you're asymptomatic.
More COVID. That was Trump's logic always.
Come on.
Nobody has it unless they test for it. If you've got COVID and you don't know you have it, Dom, do you really have COVID?
Yeah, right.
It's like a tree falling in the woods, according to Trump logic.
Terrible.
Anyways, Dom, going to be a big show. Let's introduce a cavalcade, a fine guest. You've done a hell of a job. It's almost like this might be your last day of working hard. And you thought, we better bring lots of fine guests, lots of friends on. And then I won't have to work so hard, speaking on behalf of you, who have set yourself up nicely for a 2-day work week.
Yes. Well done, sir.
Going out of town later in the week, Don?
I am going back to Detroit tomorrow. Unfortunately, not taking any radio gear with me. So today's my Friday show, man.
Come on, man. A Tuesday that feels like a Friday? No wonder why it's stuck in my throat a little and tastes like burning. Well, enjoy him while he's here, audience.
That's right.
Dominic, a 2-day work week. Oh, man, how do I get that life for Riley?
It's the new world, man. I think everybody should do it.
Anyways, big show today. Before he leaves town, Congressman Mark Pocan, our good friend. Never enough Mark Pocan around this show. And also, a recent guest here, but he's coming back, and I'm excited about it. Bill Press,
Yeah.
talk radio host, liberal pundit, CNN political contributor, most importantly, friend of ours, Dom. So Bill Press at 3:30, Mark Pocan at 3:06, Harvey Kaye. Harvey Kaye. Now, I hear Harvey Kaye on other fine shows. Best as I can tell, first time Harvey Kaye's joined us on the airwaves, but he's going to do so in the happy hour today at 4 o'clock. Harvey Kaye is a professor of democracy and justice studies, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. And I hear Harvey Kaye often on the Jeff Santos show. Plays out right here on Devil Radio 92.7 between 7 and 10 p.m. So Harvey Kaye,
man.
friend of Jeff Santos, and hopefully he'll be a friend of ours. soon.
You know, we gotta get some of that. You know, our pal Tom from the left coast suggested, and you know, Tom's, if this one works out, maybe Tom's gonna be doing some booking for us.
LA Tom.
Yeah.
I think he introduced us to Greg Palast as well.
Yep.
And my one lone booking, but certainly by far not the least, Erin Forrest, our pal from Emerge, Wisconsin. She is the executive director thereof. And I wanted to talk to Erin, my pal Erin. I thought of that Wall Street Journal article about Dr. Jill Biden dropped the doctor kiddo. And I'm thinking, I wonder if anything's changed in the perception of the executive director of Emerge, Wisconsin, Erin Forrest. We'll ask her in the 4 o'clock happy hour. Glad everyone joined us today, Dom. Like we said, going to be a really big show. Huge. Excellent job booking. And you get credit for one more. Tammy Baldwin coming on the big show tomorrow.
Oh, I know I'm not going to be here, but I think it's important we get Tammy in front of the audience. We appreciate that. She's coming on tomorrow?
Yes.
Excellent.
I am going to lock down a few topics, but you booked her, and I'm taking all the credit. My fine guest tomorrow, Senator Tammy Baldwin at 2:30. Don't forget to tune in for that.
Man, that's what I do. I set them up, you knock them down.
And I've already booked one fine guest for the Friday show, Brandy Grayson, our pal Brandy.
Oh, nice.
Threw her hat in the ring. She's running for something here locally in Madison. I'm going to catch up with Brandy Grayson in the happy hour on Friday. I've text confirmed she better show up. She said she'd get her, all her candidate documentation all in order between now and then. Excellent. But I know it's official because David Blask is already hate blogging about it. It's pretty bad when I get to learn something about my local community from David Blaska's blog. But anyways, Brandy will join us on Friday. The beloved by Blaska, Brandy Grayson, joining me, yours truly, on Friday. It'll be a fine show with or without you, fella. But Dominic, let's talk about the Electoral College. It's finally in the rearview mirror. They've cast their votes, more than 270 for Joe Biden. Hell, my math says it's a landslide, Tom.
Landslide. That's what I was thinking.
Was it like 306 to 232, the very same margin that Trump beat Hillary Clinton by?
Yes.
Now, he liked it more when he was on the winning end of that math, but, he's still fighting out there, right? But with the casting of the Electoral College votes, the Republican leadership is finally coming around. And Dominic, of course, Donald Trump is the president still for a bit longer. Not 4 years longer, but for a bit longer.
Just over a month, man.
But I don't think it's, truly accurate to call Donald Trump the Republican leadership. He's the lame duck. He's on the way out. He's got 30-something days left. Thank God. So then the question becomes, who is the Republican leadership? Well, is it the turtle? Is it Mitch McConnell? Is it Kevin McCarthy, perhaps, the minority leader over on the House side? Is it prominent Republican senators like Mitt Romney or Rojo?
Ron Johnson?
No. To my opinion, no. None of them are the leader of the Republican Party. Of course, Dom, the real leader of the Republican Party, the one that allows them all to acknowledge the election of Joe Biden to the presidency of the United States. The real leader has now said, congratulations, Joe Biden, Vladimir Putin. Pooty Poot has congratulated Joe Biden. And now the other Republicans
they have permission
to do so.
Never want to get out in front of the boss, right, Crudy? Charlotte Klein From the Vanity Fair, briefly, Vladimir Putin congratulated President-elect Joe Biden on his victory Tuesday, more than a month after many other foreign leaders did the same. A delayed but significant bow to reality, given his famously warm rapport with Donald Trump. For my part, I am ready for cooperation and contacts with you, the Russian president said to Biden, according to CNN, one day after the Electoral College officially certified Biden's win. After major U.S. news organizations called the race for Biden in November, routine congratulatory statements from leaders around the world quickly rolled in, something the Kremlin was then unwilling to offer, saying it would be proper to wait for an official announcement, even though the Kremlin congratulated Trump on his win in 2016, mere hours after the race was called. In a statement on Tuesday, the Kremlin said Putin wished the president-elect every success and expressed confidence that Russia and the United States, which bear special responsibility for global security and stability, despite their differences, can truly contribute to solving many problems and challenges that the world is currently facing. And Crudy, an even bigger blow to Trump's election denial came from Senate leadership on Tuesday, when Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who had yet to issue a public statement on the election results, finally offered his congratulations to the president-elect. Quote, "The Electoral College has spoken." McConnell, acknowledging Biden's victory for the first time, said in a speech on the Senate floor, "Many of us hoped that the presidential election would yield a different result, but our system of government and processes to determine who will be sworn in on January 20th. While Putin was one of the last major world leaders withholding well wishes, he is nevertheless ahead of most of the GOP in accepting Biden's win. Even as Senate leadership broke with Trump's election denial on Tuesday morning, more than 200 congressional Republicans still refuse to say who won the presidential election. But Crudy, they all have permission now. Poot said it's okay.
Well, if Republican leadership says it's a Joe Biden president election, well, I guess the rest of the Republicans can now acknowledge. But don't count on Tom Tiffany or a few of the others. What about Rojo?
Oh,
Will he be the rogue U.S. senator? Or now that Putin has said it's okay, will Russian Ron acknowledge the glorious victory of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? We'll see. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Happy Tuesday to us all.
President Trump, where is your leadership?
Frankly, Putin is backing a person that's truly an evil person.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everyone. What? You mean it's not Christmas yet? Well, it soon will be. This year, Santa is available for virtual visits. Stay right in your home, and this real Santa will video chat with you and your children virtually. Yes, real beard, real suit, real belly, the real Santa. Go to my website, wishforsanta.com. That's wish4santa.com. Virtual visits start at $26. Have a very Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.
If you believe we the people need an ongoing voice on the radio airwaves, there's never been a more important time to partner with us and support Devil Radio. Small businesses are suffering and our sponsors are already doing what they can. We need your help. This is your station. These are your airwaves, but they're not free. Please give if you're able at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin, or click the Support the Station tab at devilradio927.com. Give now and I pledge you will never hear Christmas music on Devil Radio.
Tune into Sharp Elbows. It's on at 10 a.m. Saturdays with me, Representative Francesca Hong, and my friend Nada Elmakoshvi. Every Saturday morning, we want to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the world. Whether it's on the biggest issues, current events, or people who inspire us, let's discuss it all. It's kind of like brunch, but with politics, guests, and callers. No shortage of fun, but also be prepared for some serious truth-telling. Talk to y'all soon.
Sharp Elbows airs Saturdays 10 a.m. only on Devil Radio 92.7. Hey, Joanne, I hear you have a Tech Protect plan from Community PC.
I have been having services since 2013. He provides monthly maintenance for me. He is able to attach to my computer so he can figure out what my problems are. I'm very computer illiterate. If I had to call somebody on the telephone, I would probably not be able to follow through with that.
Community PC. We know what makes computers happy.
Supplying your political fix in the back roads, WTTN 1580 AM and Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open for you today at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, when we play this song, Scott Walker immediately comes to my mind. But in this case, we're playing it. We're playing it for Trump. It's for Trump and not Rojo, right? Freedom.
Yes, this is specifically for Donald Trump. Loser by Beck, a great song.
Well, less great president in this case. Dominic, a troubling headline. Ron Johnson, who has not been on this show recently, as mentioned, U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin joining us tomorrow about 2:30. But Rojo been absent for some time, Dom.
He's been really busy.
Doing his hair and going on righty-whitey talk radio products and, threatening the electoral outcome of the U.S. elections. But the headline, Craig Gilbert, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, I'll just share it with the audience, Tom. Ron Johnson calls election legitimate.
What?
And acknowledges Biden's victory, but still plans hearings on alleged irregularities. Because of course he does. One day after the Electoral College affirmed Democratic Joe Biden's presidential victory, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin, everybody, said in an interview that he acknowledged Biden as the president-elect and believed the election was legitimate.
I think you did something right.
I gotta say, I'm seeing a glimmer of hope.
I think it took your breath away a little bit there, Mike. You want to repeat that last sentence?
I will read again. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin, said in an interview that he acknowledged Biden as the president-elect and believed the election was legitimate.
Well, and now that Putin said it, it makes total sense.
Oh, yeah. It only took him 6 weeks to come to that conclusion. But like 6 minutes after Putin said, congratulations, Joe Biden, well, then Ron Johnson at least acknowledged it.
Remember when we were scurrying through the Senate building and the reporter asked him, are you going to offer, congratulatories to Vice President-elect Joe Biden? And
why would I?
Well, why now?
I didn't hear a congratulations, just an acknowledgement. No graciousness per se. I read on from Craig Gilbert's piece, Journal-Sentinel. At the same time, Johnson plans to hold a Senate hearing Wednesday, that's tomorrow, Dom, on election irregularities, saying there are legitimate questions about the way the election was administered in Wisconsin and other states.
Really?
All I'm trying to do is hold a very upfront, straightforward hearing, talking about what controls there are in place, what fraud does occur, and what we can do to prevent fraud in the future, said Johnson in an interview with the Journal-Sentinel. Johnson contended there are unanswered questions about the election process. But asked if he regarded the election as legitimate, he said, yes, I haven't seen anything that would convince me that the overall national result, would be overturned. In that vein, he said he had no plans currently to object next month when the Congress meets to tabulate the Electoral College votes. Something would have to surface that would call into question the legitimacy of the election. Just wait for my hearing, right?
Right. So he currently has no plans, and something might have to come to the surface before he could call into the question the legitimacy of this election. Perhaps something will be broken at his very important hearing.
Dominic, after weeks of expressing suspicion, raising questions, or simply remaining quiet, a growing number of congressional Republicans are acknowledging Biden's victory now that the Electoral College has voted.
And that Putin said so.
And of course, the Republican leadership from Putin to McConnell, on down to the rank and file like Rush and Ron. Well, they're now acknowledging it after the Electoral College votes. And we've even got a little of the sound. Going to need your help here, Fancy Brian, before commencing to bootlick his favored president, the current president, Trump, Mitch McConnell did offer congratulations to the president-elect and VP-elect. If we could, Fancy Brian, because I like hearing even Mitch McConnell say it. Play cut 40.
Today, I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. The president-elect is no stranger to the Senate. He's devoted himself to public service for many years. I also want to congratulate the vice president-elect, our colleague from California, Senator Harris.
How gracious. Keep going, cut 41.
Today, I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. The president-elect is no stranger to the Senate. He's devoted himself to public service for many years.
A similar but different soundbite, and one more from Mitch McConnell, cut 42, Fancy.
I also want to congratulate the vice president-elect, our colleague from California, Senator Harris. Beyond our differences, all Americans can take pride that our nation has a female vice president-elect for the very first time.
Boy, seems so enthused about it. You know, compared to the enthusiasm he showed for the bootlicking of Donald Trump immediately to follow, I heard some of that sound later on AP News. But that is when Mitch McConnell showed his real excitement.
Crudy, just a bit more from the Journal Sentinel piece. Witnesses for Rojo's hearing tomorrow include Ken Starr, the former independent counsel, and 3 Republicans who have tried to overturn the 2020 election results, attorneys Jim Troupis and Jesse Banal, and Pennsylvania state lawmaker Francis Ryan. Troupis is a Wisconsin attorney who got a bitch slapped at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And committee Democrats plan to call witness Christopher Krebs, the former Homeland Security official who was fired by Trump. Top Democrat on the committee issued a statement this is from Gary Peters. Says Johnson's hearing is going to promote false narratives that seek to undermine public trust in the outcome of the election, while some officials may frame this hearing as a matter of simply getting to the truth and ensuring every claim of an irregularity is heard and addressed. The real goal of the hearing is to help a defeated presidential candidate in his last-ditch effort to cling to power, despite the undeniable fact that the American people have chosen Joe Biden to serve as the next president of the United States.
You know, I can tell Rojo is very excited to serve in a Biden presidency. Come back with us, more Devils.
I will call them from now on losers, because that's what they are. They're losers.
Having this all come out into public has exposed things that didn't need to be exposed.
Evil losers. Well, I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron. And yes, losers. They are losers.
From Bernie to Biden to even Trump supporters, Devil Radio is the political fix for every Wisconsinite. Always streaming at DARNWI.com.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast? Just 2 buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say. Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
The Lazy Wolf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Wolf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazywolflounge.com.
I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. A second COVID-19 vaccine is getting a positive review from federal regulators. Our Sagar Magani has details.
The vaccine from Moderna and the National Institutes of Health is on the cusp of authorization after the Food and Drug Administration said a preliminary analysis confirmed the shots are safe and effective. Another vaccine cannot come soon enough, with the COVID-19 death toll passing 300,000 in the U.S. and cases expected to grow as the holidays approach.
The COVID caseload continues to stress medical facilities around the country. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom says there's a critical shortage of ICU beds.
San Joaquin Valley was at 0% over the weekend. And it goes without saying, when you're at 5.7% of your ICUs available, that they're filling up quickly.
Negotiations appear to be intensifying in Washington on COVID-19 relief. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin have been speaking. I'm Ben Tom.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 15th. After barring schools in August from opening to most students, Dane County's Public Health Department on Monday said schools can safely reopen with safeguards and a phased approach that would allow more elementary schoolers to return to in-person learning first. Madison's Police and Fire Commission on Monday heard again from residents about who the city's next police chief should be and will take public testimony at yet another meeting on Friday. The state Supreme Court ruled Monday it is up to Wisconsinites to determine whether they face challenges that allow them to vote absentee without providing a copy of a photo ID. Under state law, people can vote absentee without showing an ID if they are indefinitely confined because of age, disability, or infirmity. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
"60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Krutz are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, sometimes the panelist here, we get it wrong. And right now I'd like to
speak for yourself, man.
Well, I'm going to get around to blaming you for my error in a bit, so stand by.
Okay, all right.
Yesterday, in the very first segment of this big show, I was so excited. We were giddy, downright giddy, because Joe Biden, for like the 56th time since the election day, had been declared the winner. Most recently, Joe Biden was declared the winner of the Electoral College. Only I said Donald Trump. And you smiled and nodded. You didn't even correct me, nor did Fancy Brian. So I blame you. You could have backed me up on that one and said, come on.
But you're assuming I'm listening to what you're saying.
Clearly, clearly that was my first error, to think that you were paying attention to what I was saying over here.
What's your name again?
Who is this? Who is this?
The other day I had to correct someone. They thought I was Dom.
I know. You thought you were offended. Think of me.
Yeah. The other part I got wrong. And I shouldn't have gotten it wrong. I actually had it right. And then I second guessed myself. I'm like, talking about the lawsuit of Josh. Pardon me. Let's make sure I get it right this time.
Okay. All right.
I was talking about the Supreme Court hearing and the fact that Justice Joe Karofsky, pointed a finger and said, recounting just Milwaukee and Dane County seems racist. I think the term she used
smacks of racism.
Yeah. Thank you for getting that as correct as we possibly can the second time around. And then I talked about Josh Kaul also calling the very same practice Jim Crow 2.0.
Wisconsin's Attorney General.
Yes. But then I said something more, which made my earlier statement erroneous. I said, maybe that wasn't the right lawsuit. Maybe it was the Texas suit. Maybe that was part of Josh Kaul's response to the Texas suit. And I went home and I did a sound check, and I realized how badly you allowed me to screw up in two different occasions.
When you're bringing new information has come to light. I can't verify everything you say, man. I just,
that Joe Biden won the Electoral College. That part you knew was true,
well,
right?
that part, sure, yes. Well, I mean, he did last night.
We'll see. Really hasn't happened yet, right? Well, apparently Ron Johnson's, he's acknowledging the legitimacy of the Biden win for now. But if I ever screw up that big time, you guys, in those rare occasions, have my permission to quietly correct me on the air.
Quietly. Okay, what was
Crudy, I think you got that part wrong.
Was there a Josh Call? You had a point about Josh Call, though.
Well,
in his
then,
statement.
just the fact it wasn't the Texas lawsuit, but, I was sitting there second guessing myself. And then I had to think, well, why would Josh Call say that? Well, of course, because it's racist and it smacks of Jim Crow 2.0 when you recount and ask to throw out the votes of only 2 counties, Dane and Milwaukee County, of course, where many of the minorities of the great state of Wisconsin live. So I should have just, gotten it right the first time and kept my mouth closed.
Well, see, that's all right, man. We're all human. We make mistakes. It's okay. Appreciate you now correcting the record.
And then when I thought aloud, you didn't correct me. So anyways, I blame you, Dominic.
Yeah, that's okay. I can handle it.
Just think of all the character you're building.
Yes, right now.
And I'm getting full from eating all this crow. We're not the only ones that get it wrong sometimes, Dom. And I was happy to see another correction of sorts. You posted it, the urbanmilwaukee.com. Oh, they didn't get it wrong there so much as over at Right Wisconsin. James Widgerson, writing on behalf of his little on-air endeavor. What they a podcast? No, they're a blog. Right Wisconsin's a blog.
Sure, it's a website.
Well,
He
everybody
called me fat and said I was going to die on the toilet.
I don't think that was us specifically.
That wasn't us.
I don't think that was
us. Somebody else.
So, anyways, here's the article. Right Wisconsin regrets
what?
Endorsing Tom Tiffany.
Oh,
now how could you possibly have regrets after endorsing a guy who's aptly monikered Toxic Tom Tiffany? You didn't see it in the moniker. You didn't know that maybe you shouldn't put the full weight of your online publication behind Tom Tiffany. So, Dominic, I hate to punch down like this, but another fine conservative media outlet correcting the record today. I'm going to read from Widgerson's writing. In a January 20th editorial, Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District deserves better than a swamp creature. Right Wisconsin made several errors in describing Tom Tiffany, then a candidate in Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District. In the endorsement editorial, editor James Widgerson described Tiffany as a solid conservative legislator and a candidate whom they know will fight for conservative principles in Washington. Tiffany was also described as the only candidate deserving of Republican votes in the February 18th GOP primary. Let's not forget he won a special election. However, a review of the facts of Tiffany's brief time in Congress leads us to believe those statements were made in error and that a correction is necessary. Welcome to the party, pal. Tiffany recently signed onto a statement supporting a federal lawsuit to overturn the November 3rd presidential election in Wisconsin and 3 other states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan. The federal lawsuit filed by the ethically challenged Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton would disenfranchise Wisconsin voters, including those of the 7th Congressional District, if successful. The lawsuit would also be an open invitation to every state to interfere with every other state's interpretation of their own laws. National Review's Andrew McCarthy, a Trump supporter, wrote, if a Texas lawsuit was successful, every state now has standing to sue every other state over the latter's administration of their own laws in connection with its own citizens if it can articulate some collateral consequence that may affect the allegedly injured state in some way. A conservative political leader would understand that Paxton's lawsuit is not conservative. It is a naked attempt at preserving power for a president that lost the November 3rd election. Oh, don't tell anybody other than... Oh, never mind. I'll just keep reading. Even as Tiffany won re-election in his district. Fortunately, Tiffany is the only Wisconsin Republican to endorse the Texas lawsuit. It's clear from the evidence Tiffany is not a solid conservative legislator and a candidate whom they know will fight for conservative principles in Washington. As for being the only candidate deserving of Republican votes in the February 18th GOP primary, apparently the 1980s teenage singer Tiffany Darwish was the Tiffany that was meant. The singer Tiffany?
That's who he's thinking. The mall singer Tiffany.
Right, Wisconsin regrets the errors and the endorsement. Have we ever erred in our endorsement of any candidate, Tom? I don't think we have.
James Widgerson.
We have never withdrawn an endorsement after the fact.
No, I don't believe we have. You've been more the endorser guy in the show than I, Curdy, but I don't recall you ever doing that either. And I would say this to James Widgerson and many of the other Republicans who are seemingly coming around on these issues. Vive la resistance! Welcome to the party, pal. It's about frickin' time. And I would also say this. I know, obviously, we have lots of conflict with some of our right-wing friends out there. And I think this is one of those times where it's totally acceptable to have a conservative acknowledge and change their mind about something that they may have done. It's never too late to grow, to learn, to acknowledge past mistakes if you make any. And I would commend him for that.
So we're down for the correction of the record when it means unendorsing Tom Tiffany. I would just point out James Widgerson, a very foreseeable, regrettable endorsement.
Perhaps.
I mean, you could see that one coming. How could you not regret endorsing Tom Tiffany? And, above and beyond that, Dom, I would point out there were we talked about the 126 Congress people nationwide that opposed the outcome of the election, supported the Texas lawsuit that had nothing to do with Jim Crow 2.0. That was a whole different issue. So don't want to get it wrong again. But Tiffany was one of only 18 lawmakers that sought to have the votes of their own state thrown out, including his own votes, theoretically.
Yeah.
Votes that were cast on his behalf that elected him to the Congress.
Yeah. The very election he is objecting to is the election that he won.
Of course, he's only really objecting to the election of Joe Biden through the counties of Dane and Milwaukee. That's the part, that's the part they should overturn. Just the will of those voters down there, not up there in Tom Tiffany's district.
Well, of course, that same process was used in Tom Tiffany's district, as in the rest of the districts in the state of Wisconsin. So, yeah, you want to have different enforcement of law depending on where the county is, Tom Tiffany, but you're fine with that process with your victory, but you're not fine with that very same process with Joe Biden's victory?
So one of 18 lawmakers in the nation, Tom Tiffany of Wisconsin, wow. 18 lawmakers that wanted to throw out the votes of their own state and theoretically their own election. And my only question, Dom, where was Glenn Grothman on this?
I mean,
Trump needed you on this one, Glenn.
He wasn't there. I mean, I didn't see any reporting that Grothman, as far as I know, Tiffany was the only one from Wisconsin.
Trumpian congressman in America, Glenn Grothman wasn't supportive.
Can we get some meatloaf?
Yeah. What happened to the mother's meatloaf?
We want it now.
Now, do you think
he got out Grothman by Tiffany?
He really did. Do you remember when Chris Christie came to the White House and reportedly Trump made him eat Ma's meatloaf? Oh no, you're having the meatloaf. And then apparently, for Chris Christie. Said, you'll enjoy Ma's meatloaf. And then later had 2 scoops of ice cream. Everybody else only got 1. Kind of like he wants 2 bites at this election, even though Joe Biden only would have gotten 1.
844-967-2789. We have some other examples of right-wingers seemingly taking some objection to the actions of the GOP here in the last several weeks. But let's get to some callers. Scott from Madison, you are up. Welcome, Scott. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Scott.
Well, Crudy, as long as you're in a mood to correct yourself for past errors. Don't get too excited, Dom. I think you've been doing it too.
Oh, come on.
How many electoral votes did Trump actually get?
232, I believe.
No. In his election, when he declared it as
306.
306? 304. Two of the electors defected and did not cast for him.
So they were faithless electors.
There were two faithless electors, so he only came up with 304. So Biden actually has a larger victory than.
Does that mean you're acknowledging that Biden is the president-elect? I know it was awfully tough for Russian Ron to come to that conclusion.
I've been acknowledging that since he won the primary. It was pretty much a shoo-in at that point. We could have had any of the Democrats run, and they would have beat Trump.
Some perhaps by a larger margin than 20,600 votes here in the state of Wisconsin.
I believe you are correct.
Scott, thanks for listening, man. Let's not relitigate the Democratic primary. You know I got a few grievances. Come back with us. More of you.
I love it. We got a
phones.
smart audience. I love this. Yes, that does seem right. Now that he brings it up, I forgot about.
I thought
those. And all the reporting I've seen from other articles always mention the 306. So
I thought the faithless electors were overruled. Like apparently,
I don't recall.
Fancy Brian and the James Widgerson reference to Tiffany overruled our prior musical choice for the end of this segment. Enjoy the Tiffany as we go to break. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, more of your phone calls on the other side. Don't leave us alone now. 844-967-2789. You remind me of the guy dancing in Ted, Fancy Brian.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
I know what's wrong. Just want to hear you say it.
I don't think we are wrong.
You're wrong.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Biden won because of you. Because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired. Because you knew that your vote is power. Because you understood what was at stake. And because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
2021 Devil Radio advertising special starting at just $5.95 per month.
Call now.
You'll get 50 AM ads, 50 FM ads, and 50 live stream ads on devilradio927.com. 150 ads in all for just $5.95. But wait, there's more. Our Devil Radio team will help you create 2 professionally produced ads for free, and we'll play them in December for free. Let our audience support you now and no payments until 2021. Call Devil Radio now at 608-819-8255.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive news talk from Verona to Sun Prairie. Always streaming at DARNWI.com.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Croots are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open, 844-967-2789. We'll get to him before Mark Pocan, Congressman from the great state of Wisconsin, joins us at the top of the hour.
You know, I was never a huge Bucks fan, but the Greek Freak signed the Supermax extension. Ooh. And I know this because the newsman Luke was wooting down the hallway. Woo, woo! Woo! All pumped up, all excited.
Very excited.
Giannis signed the Supermax contract. And you and I talked about this briefly, Dom. The Supermax contract, something to the tune of $220 million over 5 years. Not a bad living if you can get it, Dom. Pays a little less than radio, but, not a bad living if you can get paid that. But Donald Trump's raised that much off the livings out there in the last month or 6 weeks, right? $220 million
take Giannis,
plus.
What, 5 years to get $228 million? Donald Trump scammed that out of his followers in about 6 weeks.
At least Giannis doesn't have to carry Bill Lambier's ass up and down the court like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did once upon a time. Remember that in Airplane?
Bill Lambier.
Yeah,
From Detroit, Detroit
Piston.
guy.
What did Kareem say? I used to have to carry so-and-so's ass up and down the court.
Lanier. He's talking about Bob Lanier.
Oh, Bob Lanier. I thought
not Lambier.
Bill Lambier.
They did not play at the same time.
Kareem had a long career.
No, they might have. They might have overlapped.
Yes,
right.
I believe you now might be getting it right.
Here we go. Everyone's getting it wrong again. We don't want to get it wrong.
When I lived outside of Detroit, my brother actually went to school with Lambier's kid. Really interesting.
How exciting for him.
Was he also an elbow thrower? Because Lambier was brutal down below. He was like Crudy down there.
He did not just randomly elbow people in the PTO meetings, from what I understood.
So I had gotten sent something else via Twitter, and I didn't have time to fully comprehend it, Don. But the point I wanted to make, Bucks fans very excited, at least those around here in the studios, Dom. Giannis gets to, carry his teammates and hopefully carry Giannis.
Giannis, yes.
That's exactly how I said it. Gets to carry his teammates and perhaps the entire franchise, the entire city of Milwaukee's dreams upon his shoulders, hopefully to an NBA championship eventually. We the people, we the fans, we the taxpayers are basically subsidizing the cost of that beautiful Fiserv Forum.
It is a fine, fine building.
Without that building, do you think he would have signed that contract if they were still playing at the Bradley Center?
I don't know, man. $228 million. I'll be playing outside.
It's cheaper to keep him than Foxconn at this point, right, Tom?
Oh, it wasn't the cost of construction around $400-500 million for that, or was that with the loan? I forget specifically.
Yeah, but the financing of the loan was supposedly predicated on the higher taxation on the wages of the Bucks players, and Scott Walker's illustrious campaign. Well, it's cheaper to keep them, everybody.
Way to motivate, Scotty.
Well, apparently, you do the math. I'm not sure if it's cheaper to keep the Greek freak on the roster at $220 million over 4 years, Tom. I think that's more than the loan payments the state of Wisconsin's on the hook for. Thank you, Scott Walker. Thank God he didn't allow the Menominee Indian tribe to give that money and build a Hard Rock casino, Dom, that would have created 10,000 permanent jobs and another, facility. But Scott Walker got
president, man. You have different priorities when you want to get in the White House, and at that point it becomes less about your fellow Wisconsin citizens and more about getting elected.
Okay, but let's recall for just a minute.
All right,
the Menominee tribe offered $250 million to the state of Wisconsin, offered to effectively put up the state's portion of the financing on the Bucks arena, and Scott Walker said no. I'd rather put the taxpayers on the hook for that and then utilize the old cheaper to keep them. We're going to tax their salaries and, that's cheaper than the note. And that somehow justified his logic, Don, but that was 10,000 permanent jobs. And then the Foxconn plan that he brought back on the back of the napkin, if you'll recall, was only supposed to create 13,000 well-paying jobs, which we later find out was defined as $13 an hour by Robin Voss. No offense to those making $13 an hour, but that's not a well-paying job relative to the whole scale of things. And of course, the Foxconn, the $4.5 billion between the state and local investment, well, that's never going to come to fruition, Dom. They've hired less than 500 people like 3 years into the project. The local municipality's already $1 billion in. That's 4 times the state's cost on the Bucks arena. That also would have led to the creation of a private facility and 10,000 jobs. So,
yeah, but let's Scott Walker would defend his position in this because, of course, that facility was a gambling house, and he had some people in Iowa where he was campaigning at the time to run for president who sent him a letter saying, we don't want any more of these sinful casinos.
Come on, man.
around.
Sheldon Adelson sent him a check, and that's what shut down the Menominee Casino. And that's what shut down the $250 million contribution to the state, not from the state, but to the state, and 10,000 decent paying, in my air quotes, jobs. I mean, the Fiserv Forum pays a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour. That's more than the Republicans ever promised the Foxconn jobs. Once we got down to the nitty gritty, we're going to create. Did you see Scott Walker was offered electoral advice? Just today on Twitter, I think Scott Ross is the one that pointed out, you haven't won an election since 2014. Shut up already. So anyways. Cheaper to keep them. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Just happy on behalf of all Milwaukee Bucks fans.
Down. Well, we're very happy that Giannis is back and great entertainment for a game. And hopefully they'll win a championship. And hell, maybe the DNC will even come back to Milwaukee. You never know what's going to happen. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. It's never coming back. No, the city of Milwaukee is never putting up the upfront money for a DNC again. I mean, that'd be like investing in Foxconn once again. Talk about shattered dreams and broken promises.
Come on, Lucy, put that football down. Charlie, go ahead and kick it. I promise. This time, we won't pull it out from you.
Come back with us. A fine guest, a friend of ours, my Congressman Mark Pocan, joins us next. I don't know if we'll be able to go to any Bucks games live. Maybe by fall, Dom. Maybe. I hope he's worth the money. They're going to raise ticket prices now, don't you?
Oh, he's just amazing to watch, though. It's going to be so much fun.
Well, it is fun to watch. Reminds me of taking on you in the Hutch pit,
Oh,
bringing those elbows up.
That was more like
a little
Bill
space.
Lambier, man. Giannis and you, no. He's actually got some skills. You're like Bill Lambier, just a big dude with sharp elbows.
Hey, you shut up, Muggsy Bogues. Come back with the Devil's Advocates. Hour 2, Mark Pocan is next.
Let's take a look at the play. He is actually 6'5" with the Afro 6'9".
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Tom Hartman program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
AP News. I'm Ben Thomas. Medical workers across the country continue receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Meanwhile, Dr. Anthony Fauci says President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris should get it too. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani has more.
Fauci tells ABC's Good Morning America they should be vaccinated as soon as possible for security reasons.
You want him fully protected.
Biden took note.
When I do it, you'll have notice
and we'll do it publicly.
Fauci says President Trump probably still has several months of antibody protection after getting the virus, but he should also receive the vaccine to be doubly sure. Spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany says that'll happen when the president's doctors advise it, stressing frontline workers and nursing home residents come first. At the same time, McEnany says some top administration officials will get the vaccine.
They will be taking it publicly to instill confidence.
The Pentagon's acting chief got the shot yesterday. Sagar Magani, Washington.
The Supreme Court has ordered a review of Colorado's virus rules for churches. AP correspondent Walter Ratliff.
The Supreme Court ordered a lower federal court to re-examine Colorado restrictions on indoor religious services to combat the coronavirus. The order is in light of the justice's recent ruling in favor of churches and synagogues in New York. 3 dissenting justices noted that the state already had lifted the challenged restrictions. The High Court's unsigned decision did not rule that the limits imposed by Colorado's governor were improper, but it did throw out a federal district court ruling that rejected a challenge by a northern Colorado church. I'm Walter Ratliff.
After yesterday's Electoral College vote, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has finally acknowledged Joe Biden won the presidential election. But at the White House, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany says,
The president is still involved in ongoing litigation related to the election. Yesterday's vote was one step in the constitutional process, so I will leave that to him.
This is AP News.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What does the sign say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MagSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. Live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MagSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MagSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
Our depth of experience means that a lot of your legal questions can be answered in one representation because we have the people and the institutional knowledge to deal with any number of situations.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Celebrating 60 years.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Madison, you say what? Each weeknight from 5 to 6, don't miss out on a single day of the Earl Ingram Show right here on Devil Radio 92.7 FM, 1580 AM.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 15th. Few states controlled tuition at their public universities as tightly as Wisconsin has done in recent years, and the handful that did offset the squeeze with some additional state money. According to a new report released Tuesday, Wisconsin's tuition freeze squeezed its campuses tighter than any other states have. John Nygren, who resigned from the Wisconsin Assembly just a month after winning re-election, will be the new executive director of the Wisconsin Association of Health Plans, the lobbying group said Monday. Partly cloudy skies this morning, turning to overcast this afternoon. Light variable winds throughout the day. High of 23 degrees, low of 20 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we're welcoming back a fine guest. He's my congressman, our friend Mark Pocan. Mark, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, happy holidays to you, Congressman. Very excited. 6 weeks after Election Day. I believe Joe Biden is now the president-elect.
Again?
Can we agree on that part, Mark? Do we think Joe Biden's won the Electoral College?
Even Ron Johnson today said that. It only took him this many weeks. So, I guess we have progress.
And my understanding is Mitch McConnell is encouraging Republican senators not to challenge the Electoral College outcome. So, we're just down to a few random Congress people like your colleague, Tom Tiffany. What do you think of the freshman congressman's move to oppose, Biden's election here in Wisconsin and, theoretically his own election, Mark?
Well, it's interesting. People who've come into their federal political selves, I guess, during the Trump administration, all they really know is the politics of Donald Trump, right? And, I think I'm hoping that they'll see there's another path rather than going down the idiocy and the ridiculousness we dealt with Donald Trump. But, he wasn't alone, unfortunately. It was 126 members of the House who signed a letter saying Texas should somehow be able to sue Wisconsin over the election. So we've got lots of work to do.
Yeah, Mark, but only 18 of those Congress people wanted to throw out the votes from their own state. And Tiffany was one of those.
Oh, yeah. No. Like I said, there's no question. There's a lot of interesting behavior right there, and a lot of analysis could go on. But, I'm going to give him a little benefit of the doubt. Hopefully, now that Donald Trump's gone, the Kool-Aid will no longer be mixed and left on the counter. And hopefully people can now, go back to normal.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, Mark, that red Kool-Aid, it leaves a stain. And guys like Tom Tiffany, and the other 125 who voted for these Congress, I mean, how can they continue or claim to serve this country, Mark? Do you think there's going to be any residual political consequence to this action?
Well, I mean, I think there's no question, people of any kind of a reasonableness are going to look at that and say, why? Why did you go to that level to just support, someone who is the narcissist in chief, who's a fragile snowflake, who needs the support? But, it also is a touch on their characters, right? If they think that that's acceptable behavior, that makes you question their judgment on a whole lot of other areas. And, unfortunately, the Republican Party isn't a conservative political party anymore. It's a cult. And now we got to see what it's going to become next. Is it still going to be a cult, or will they try to, rebrand themselves into a political party based on ideology?
Mark, how scary was it that here in the state of Wisconsin, 3 out of the 7 Supreme Court justices were perhaps willing to overturn the will of Wisconsin voters, throw out thousands of ballots? I mean, Mark, it was only a 4-3 decision to end the Trump lawsuit here.
Yeah, that stood out really large. In fact, today I kind of just reflecting on it a day later, I woke up and I'm like, I can't believe that compared to almost everywhere else in the country, these things are just thrown out. Not only did we have the Supreme Court hear it on a weekend, but 3 of the 7 judges voted to throw out their state's results in a partisan manner. They chose to take their partisan ideology over the law, and they're supposedly Supreme Court justices. My hope is that, because I know I certainly am going to work to unseat the 3 of them should they run again, but I hope people really remember that they're not so much judges as they are partisans, and we don't need that at all in the Supreme Court.
How about the U.S. Supreme Court, Congressman? Were you encouraged that they failed to take up the Texas suit, a 7-0 vote, a very brief statement, effectively you don't have standing to affect other state electoral outcomes? But Mark had to be a little encouraged by the federal judiciary.
Yeah, I mean, and they decided they were judges, and even if their ideology might have been a different place, they made a ruling based on the law. That's not what happened from 3 of Wisconsin's Supreme Court justices. I really think they have some answering to do, hopefully over the holidays, to their families and friends and neighbors. And I think they're going to live with this for quite a while, all the way to whenever they're next up. They may have a 10-year seat, but this, you talk about stains. This is a stain that doesn't go away.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Congressman Mark Pocan joins us on the phone, and we do appreciate talking with you once again, Mark. Wondering where we stand on, any sort of support for the American people. Last I understood, the Congress is going to split off a bill for like local and state help and combine that with liability protection for corporations to keep that separate from any sort of specific support. Mark, can you update us on where we stand on those situations?
Yeah, I mean, that's the rumors we're hearing, right? We're hearing there could be something announced as early as tonight. The fact, though, that we couldn't get local and state government support without somehow giving a liability shield to big corporations is already ridiculous. But the fact that it's being pulled out, and we're hearing some other things that are a little troubling that might have made in it. I'm not sure, and again, we haven't seen it in writing, that this thing is just going to sail through yet, because, it sounds like there are some little perks given to defense contractors and other things that don't really have a lot to do with COVID. And, as much as we want to support those who are unemployed and the small business owners who are affected, we can't just have crappy legislation put out there. I mean, yeah, burrito's got a lot of different things in it, but if you start putting, a bunch of really awful, rancid bits of meat in there, you don't really want to eat it.
Well, Mark, I appreciate your burrito analogy, but my understanding is Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic leadership are meeting with the Republican leadership as we speak. And it's not just the making of this burrito, perhaps, but it's also keeping the government open for beyond the next week. Mark, there's a continuing resolution until Friday. How much emphasis, how much urgency does the fact that the government's funding is also tied to a relief bill? Mark, do you think that helps or hinders the effort?
Well, I think that one's doing a little better from what I understand. We've got a pretty good idea where some of the big chunks are, and I've had some updates because I serve on appropriations. But, honestly, it helped us to make them have to sit down and talk about COVID, so that was helpful. But I think that part, there's still a small chance we'll have one more week extension so they can finish things, but it does sound like it's moving to a real conclusion. And, that we have to have done, because if you shut down the government, I mean, it may be great on the reality show that Donald Trump stars on, but it's not so great for the country.
Mark, quickly back to the corporate liability protection for COVID in these bills. I mean, we've had, 300,000 people die of this disease in this country, and we have, millions infected around the world. Have there been like a landslide of lawsuits against corporations because of COVID? What is the point of this? My understanding is no, there have not been a lot of lawsuits in this regard.
Extremely minimal, and that's the point. This is yet another gift to big business that the Republicans, do because they think they represent big business, not their constituents. But from talking to Katie Porter, who I have a lot of respect for when it comes to this, she's a law professor and a consumer expert. She thinks that, and again, we'll see the final language. This may be a significant scaled down version, but we've got to see that yet. But at first, no, they wanted outright immunity from just about anything, and that would have been ridiculous to have as part of any kind of a COVID package.
Mark, we understand the vaccine is now being distributed, at least to the first people, the first responders and different people that are classified at the top of the list. But Mark, there's also a funding issue in the distribution of the vaccines. If there's not money allocated, how's this nation going to get vaccinated?
No, there's no question. And I think there, again, that is something that's going to be fairly easy because I do believe there's bipartisan strong support to get the vaccine out. I think the bigger challenge is going to be to fight back against, one, a lot of the misinformation about the vaccines that are out there, and two, the Trump, what he's done has done very little to put any faith in the vaccine. So we've got a lot of work to do to convince the American people of the facts about the vaccines are safe, and we have to answer the questions honestly, but we have to get people vaccinated as quickly as possible, or else we're never going to get out of this. So I do worry that we've got not so much even the funding, because I think that's going to happen. I'm more worried about some of the other things that could happen.
Mark, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, obviously the president and vice president-elect, should they move to the top of the list? Should they, for safety reasons, get the vaccine immediately, sir?
Yes, that should be a no-brainer.
And do you take objection to the fact that apparently many of the staffers at the Trump White House have also moved to the front of the line, sir?
Well, most of them already had COVID, I think. I don't know. Anytime you spend time with the president, you seem to get it. But, without question, our frontline workers need it the quickest. Those who are at risk, especially, by age or by condition, need it. But, if you're there are going to be other professions that may not make sense right away, but probably have a good reason to do it. And we just have to make sure we're doing it. The good news is it's not just that there's one vaccine, right? There's going to be another one approved very soon and another one after that very soon. So we're going to have some extra ways to get this out there. Again, my bigger concern is that if we don't get the critical mass of how many people need to be vaccinated, none of this may pay off in the long run. So I think that's where I'm trying to keep my focus, to make sure that we're legitimately answering questions that people might have.
Congressman Mark Pocan, my congressman, our friend, thank you, sir, so much for joining us here on the Devil's Advocates. Have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas to you, Mark. We'll catch up perhaps in the new year, or perhaps when you've signed a COVID bill, or Trump has.
Thanks, Mark.
I love you anytime, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Mark Pocan. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Dial us up. Phone lines open. Just a few minutes for your phone calls. Then another fine guest, Bill Press. You know Bill Press. He's a political talker. He's a CNN contributor, and he's a friend of ours. He'll be joining us at 3:30. Come back. More Devils.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
My life's mission was to defeat Donald Trump and turn Wisconsin blue. Mission accomplished, but the battle has only just begun. Devil Radio and WTTN 1580 AM have continued broadcasting the truth, persevering through the pandemic, supporting public health professionals, and turning out the vote in Madison and Dane County in record numbers. Can you help us survive and thrive for the battles to come? Please consider giving a contribution at GoFundMe. Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. Every dollar helps us continue and makes us stronger.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for the Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
From Portage to Watertown, Devil Radio on WTTN 1580 AM is essential radio to get you through your day.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, Mark Pocan, my congressman, our friend Mark, always a welcome guest around here. Got another fine guest coming soon. He is liberal talker. Bill Press had its own show. You remember back in the days before they started playing Christmas music over on Heartless Radio. Bill Press joining us at 3:30. And Dom, I've made a pledge here never to play Christmas music on Devil Radio. And that's got a two-part meaning, right? Part number one, of course, we all know the saga of what happened to the former progressive talker in this town that Heartless Radio turned off on election day. The day that Donald Trump was elected, they were playing Christmas music. And also the fact that Devil's right there in the title, man. Can't play the Christmas music and be the devilish radio station, can we?
We can do whatever we want, man.
Yeah, to a lesser degree. That's not it. I don't care about that. You know, Christmas music, if appropriate, occasionally sprinkled in. But anyways, Dom, there is an update. You've got one from the Associated Press, and then we'll get to the lines at 844-967-2789. Dom, quickly, for those that weren't listening last Friday, yours truly went down to the Wisconsin State Capitol, and I claim that freaking tree is my own. That's my tree. And it's gone now, just as I predicted it would be.
That's my tree.
Yeah.
Crudy Scott Bauer from the AP, the Wisconsin Capitol Christmas tree saga continues. He reminds us the Republicans Sortwell and Tittle put up their own artificial tree earlier this month, upset that Governor Evers canceled the usual large live tree due to the pandemic. Now the lawmaker's tree has been removed.
I'm not saying it was me, but I did predict it was going to happen.
So there's the update.
There is no more
Evers canceled Christmas, man.
Republican Christmas tree. And Dominic, we had more mischief. Hell, I got a Christmas tree in the back of my Jeep right now. And we had some best laid plans. We even asked for a permit, Dom. I've even drafted a permit application. We enjoyed a Democratic state lawmaker and our mischievous behaviors. And then there were some second thoughts and some regrets. Apparently, word had come down that they didn't want a second Christmas tree at the Wisconsin State Capitol Rotunda. And I was also concerned that I wouldn't be able to get in the building, man. I didn't like it. Last Friday, I got there bright and early, like 6:30 a.m. Wasn't even bright. It was dark and early, and I couldn't get in the Capitol. And I had to come back later when there was a supposed public hearing, although weren't really letting the public in. Yeah. So then I went down there and I claimed that damn tree and I threw some Devil Radio ornaments on there. That's my damn tree. And did my little rant in the Capitol Rotunda, the People's House, if you will, Tom. And they stole my ornaments. So now somebody stole the Republican tree. My question is, A, that red garland, that's mine. I want that back. And B, what happened to all the beautiful red devil horns, the little smaller horn ornaments? I wore one. Hell, I was the living embodiment of devil horns last weekend, Dom. And lots of little Devil Radio stickers, on the ornaments, little paper ornaments. But there were a lot of them, man. I spent like 45 minutes decorating their tree.
A lot of
looked
effort.
better for my efforts than it ever did their pathetic looking little tree. And now the tree is gone. And we didn't even have a chance to go match that tree. And, as I told our friend, the fine state Democratic lawmaker, who for now will remain anonymous, and their staffers will also remain anonymous. But I want to put up the COVID death count tree. And it seems less festive. I get it in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah, right.
But we've had over 4,000 dead Wisconsinites. And the vast majority of them, I'd say like 3,500 or more of them, have died since the last time Republicans convened the legislature in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So while I know, little jackassery, always a little bit of fun, Dom, and I'm a little deflated today. We should have just gone forward with more jackassery, and we did not. And I could have, and I should have, but I didn't.
Come on, man. You went there Friday.
We've
right?
been
Laid down the
warned
groundwork.
off.
We were ready to do it. They got word. You're welcome. You're welcome. That tree, that unpermitted, illegal, ugly ass Christmas tree has been removed.
My wife's probably going to blame me for that now. She was kind of down for the Christmas tree. She's like, come on, it's a Christmas tree. I'm like, that's not the point. 844-967-2789. Let's get to our audience and find out what their points are, starting with Diane from Fitchburg. Welcome, Diane. What do you got for us?
Hi, Diane.
Hey, Dom. Hi, Kurt. Hey, I just want to ask you, I've got some popular facts, but it's kind of controversial, so I just want to ask you not to hang up on me.
No promises, Diane, but lay them out there. Go quick.
Well, it's not profanity or anything bad like that, so you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, I'm sure you know this, but there's a big push right now coming from several independent media. Right now, we've got 217 Democrats in the House and 202 Republicans in the House. And the big push from like Jimmy Dore, Crystal Ball, the Humanist, and me is do not support Pelosi as the leader of the House. Do not vote for her until she rolls out, first time ever in the history of Democrats or her career, she rolls out Medicare for all. It's been written, it needs to be rolled out. It's never had a floor vote. Now in the pandemic, when we've lost, I know 14.6 million lost their health care. We need health care, and we need it now. And progressives, they are more powerful than they say they think they have power for. They need to show their strength. They ran on it. They got voted in because they support Medicare for all. And right now, here and now, they need to support and grow a backbone and support the people who voted for them for Medicare for all.
Diane, I agree with your sentiment. I don't know if it's practical in the short sense, but you got to say your piece. Come back with us. Bill Press. He'll say his piece right here on The Devil's Advocates next.
The Devil Tree by an experience like none other.
Very cosmopolitan.
That's my tree.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
I'm Stephanie Hoff, your host, and this podcast is brought to you by Spectrum. A court of appeals has granted President Trump's request for a faster schedule as he seeks to throw out Wisconsin's election results. He also wants the GOP-led state legislature to decide the state's electors. Papa Bloody is on the line
Hello,
with me
Bill
today
Press.
for more.
Hey,
but
what's
first,
going on? How are you?
hours before this ruling, the Wisconsin Supreme
How are you
Court
today?
rejected the president's attempt to throw out over 220,000 votes in the heavily Democratic
You are breaking up,
Dane
my
and
friend.
Milwaukee counties.
Breaking
Pat,
up.
how did that play out?
Oh, try it more.
Well,
Keep
it
talking
played
to me.
out on a 4-3 ruling, and as we've talked about on this podcast, Stephanie, conservatives hold a 4-3 advantage. So it
yes.
was once again Brian Hagedorn voting with the block.
And if you
of
wouldn't mind
liberals
turning on
in
your,
order
do you want to
reject
turn on
this
your
lawsuit.
video or
So
no?
essentially, what Hagedorn wrote
I thought
in
I
his
had.
opinion,
Yeah.
which was joined by the court's
Gotcha.
3 liberals, was
hello.
that Trump
hey,
lost
there we
those
are.
thousands of ballots.
Microphone, does
that
that sound
rise
better?
in the administration
Much.
of every election.
There we
But
are.
for the other side, for
Awesome.
conservatives,
Remind me,
particularly, I'll
Dom
point
and
to a opinion
you got Dom and
by
Crute.
Justice Rebecca Bradley,
Crute.
conservative member of that court. This really
And my
came
last
down
question
to,
for you,
in
sir, is
her
do you have
own
any song
mind,
requests?
kind of a law and order type of ruling here. So essentially what she said is the people of
You have
Wisconsin
any
deserve a court that respects the
today,
laws that govern
Mr.
us
McConnell?
rather than treating
Oh, I
them
do have
with
Mitch
such
McConnell, yeah.
indifference is what she said there.
I haven't heard
And
it,
really
so-
when it comes to Bradley and also
Oh, I meant song requests.
here
Like,
in the state
you
of
know,
Oh, song. Oh, I'm
any,
sorry.
any music you want to hear on the way in.
provisions that they feel may have been violated, particularly the
oh God, I hadn't
indefinitely
thought about
confined
that.
provision.
That's
Now,
all right. We'll
something
take care of
we've
you.
talked about on this
All right.
podcast before. It's a provision that allows you to not utilize photo ID
Excellent. We got
when
a couple
requesting
minutes
an
here, and
absentee
we'll
ballot.
bring you right
It'll
in.
be
Thank you very
interesting
much
to
for your
see in the
time.
coming legislative session
Agree with you.
if there are any attempts to rework some of the requirements for that provision. Now, of course, remember, while the GOP has majorities in both chambers of the legislature, Governor Tony Evers does have veto power here. And Stephanie, probably worth noting, this decision came out around 11 a.m. yesterday, and that's noteworthy because the Electoral College convened in order to cast votes to certify formally who the next president will be. And that happened here in Wisconsin at noon. So this decision came about an hour before the slate of Dem electors met in Governor Tony Evers' office, and all 10 of which unanimously cast votes for the Biden and Harris ticket.
So, Pat, how does this lead to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals?
Not directly, Stephanie. So this appeal that we talked about in the intro a little bit here kind of comes from a separate lawsuit, again from the Trump campaign, but instead of in state court, it would be here in federal court. So this is again stemming from a lawsuit in which U.S. District Court judge rejected Trump's claims that the way Wisconsin's election was run was improper and usurped the legislature's authority. Now, remember, in that case, essentially what the Trump campaign asked was for the court to throw out essentially all of the votes in Wisconsin and instead allow the GOP-controlled legislature to appoint the slate of electors. And on that, Stephanie, it's probably worth noting, as well as the Dem electors meeting in the Capitol yesterday, Wisconsin's Republican electors also kind of did a similar ceremony, cast votes, and said they were going to send them to Congress as well, under the hope here that should a...
Oh, Devil Radio. Good thing I brought my horns.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Our next guest, he's kind of a big deal. He's a friend of ours. He is Bill Press, talk radio host, liberal pundit, CNN political contributor. And we'd like to thank friend of ours, Bill. Welcome back to the big show.
Hey, you are guy. Well, wait a minute. You are friends. What do I need to do here?
No, we can hear you just fine,
you're
Bill.
good, man. We can hear you just fine, Bill.
Okay. All right, good.
You sound good. You're on the radio with the greatest radio show ever. You know, this side of the Bill Press show. No. But Bill, let me ask you, the breaking news.
Yes.
Newsmax is now calling him President-elect Joe Biden. Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, sort of McCarthy light, he's calling him President-elect Joe Biden. Mitch McConnell's calling him President-elect Joe Biden. Hell, Vladimir Putin's calling him President-elect Joe Biden. Bill, question, will Donald Trump concede at this point?
No, hell no. But I just want to point out, Vladimir Putin did it before Mitch McConnell, right? Vladimir Putin beat the Republicans to the punch by congratulating Biden. But here's what I don't get.
Bill,
why are we
the Republicans permission to acknowledge
okay.
President-elect Joe Biden? I'm sorry to interrupt, sir.
No, that's all right. I just want to ask, what's the BFD here, right? I mean, we're making a big deal over the fact that they're finally acknowledging what all of us have known for so long, and it doesn't take a lot of courage for them to recognize that Biden won the freaking election, right? He not only won it, he got more votes than any presidential candidate in history. He beat Donald Trump by over 7 million, probably 8 million votes, and he got 306 electoral votes. And suddenly we're saying, oh, for Mitch McConnell to recognize this is shows so much courage. Boop. I mean, BS, right? Yeah.
But Bill, if you look at the rank and file Republicans, hell, they were trying to slot alternative electors 24 hours ago at this time. They voted in Wisconsin. They tried to charge the mound in Michigan. They did some sort of malfeasance in Arizona. In a lot of these swing states, Bill, the Republicans down the ticket, the rank and file, they're still not admitting defeat. And many of them that lost their electoral, own electoral races, they're also claiming voter fraud. It's not just Trump. It's all the way down the Republican ticket, Bill.
Wait. It's worse than that. Even the dumb-ass members of Congress who won in these states are challenging their own states' elections by saying the election was a fraud. If the election was a fraud, then they ought to be out of office, right? I mean, these guys, they don't get it. Look, you know what? The fact is, it's over. The fact is, these idiots will never recognize it. But the fact is, they're not worth a rat's ass of attention, right? Because it's all a waste of time for them. I don't care what they do. It's over. It's over. And we got to start moving on. By the way, I heard Biden's speech last night, man. He really ripped Donald Trump a new one, right? You know, I thought he'd held back for 5 weeks or whatever. And I really thought he laid into him last night. It was great.
Well, Bill, the man can barely even have a transition. He can't roll out cabinet secretaries because we're still fighting about whether or not he won the election.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not anymore. I mean,
we're not as of today. You think Putin's the final vote?
Putin's the final vote. Hey, by the way, he is rolling them out. Of course, Pete Buttigieg, great choice, I think, for transportation. Glad to see him there.
Does he even have his driver's license yet, Bill?
He's getting it real soon.
He doesn't look like he's not old enough.
Maybe next time he's got his learner's permits, I understand, Bill. Next time he's hoping to get the road test passed.
Hey, his boyfriend can drive, or his husband can drive, you know.
Well, when you're a cabinet secretary, you got a driver, right, Bill?
You have a driver, exactly. No, I mean, I think Biden's come up with it's a team of grown-ups. There's some really impressive people there. Lloyd Austin, Defense Secretary, Susan Rice, Domestic Counsel, go down the list. Janet Yellen at the Fed, or at Treasury rather. Yeah.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine talker in his own right. He's Bill Press. He's a CNN political contributor, a friend of ours. What about the Attorney General? We heard that Trump's Attorney General is resigning effective Christmas Eve before the final act of malfeasance. Whatever Trump's got planned is got to be awfully bad if Bill Barr wants to be out of office between now and then. But who's Biden going to pick as his Attorney General? These Republicans are saying, you better not pick Sally Yates.
Well, first of all, let's not say anything good about Bill Barr because he's leaving before the end of the term, right? I mean, this is the worst Attorney General maybe in history, but certainly in our lifetime. Nothing but a suck up to Donald Trump, has been with him 1,000% all the way. Any reputation that Barr had as being a fairly decent, honorable attorney is gone, trash forever. And the idea that he's leaving to spend more time with his family, that is the biggest, worst spin ever, right? I mean, I wrote a book. My first book was a book about political spin. And the worst example that I used was this BS of, I have to spend more time with my family. Yeah, he doesn't. Anyhow, who's Biden going to pick? First of all, I don't know. The people that I've talked to, I'll tell you who's a big favorite in Washington, D.C. is Merrick Garland. And you know what? I would love it. That would be the ultimate revenge to have Merrick Garland as the Attorney General. And just get back with these guys who wouldn't even give him a hearing to be on the Supreme Court. It could also be Deval Patrick from Massachusetts, who's a real front runner. Sally Yates, of course, who was Deputy Attorney General, fired by Trump. There's one other. Doug Jones from Alabama is also in the running. Yeah.
Why is he in the mix? To your opinion, Bill?
Because he's out of a job.
Well, Donald Trump's out of a job, but I wouldn't hire him for my cabinet.
No, actually, Doug Jones is a good man, and he, as U.S. attorney in Birmingham in Alabama, he's got a good track record down there. First of all, he's a strong, long-time civil rights attorney, very highly respected in Alabama for that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Google it, but I'm pretty sure that he's the guy that finally brought Martin Luther King's killer to justice, right at the very end. Anyhow, he's got a good track record. So it's not just I'm being smart ass to say just he's out of a job, but he is out of a job, so therefore he's available too.
Bill Press, got to ask you though, and you've been around a long time, paying attention to these kinds of issues, certainly longer than I have.
I love the bridge, by the way, in back of you.
Oh, I thank you, City of Milwaukee, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. The impact that this presidency will have, and certainly this portion of the presidency, as he loses the election, and the Republicans and all the hard right wing talk media are sowing doubt as to how this election went down. What do you think the long-term impact of that will be, number one? And number two, what happens to Donald Trump once he leaves office? Where do you see his efforts turning to?
Well, first of all, there are going to be a lot of books written about what happens to the Republican Party from here going forward, and what happens to the country going forward. But Dom, the first part of your question, I think the impact of Donald Trump, while he did not accomplish much, right, in terms of getting things done, we still don't have a wall. He didn't get rid of Obamacare. You could say he was pretty much, except for his big giant tax cut, pretty much of a failure in terms of where's the infrastructure, for example, right? Yeah. Infrastructure week, another one. So he didn't accomplish much, but he did a lot of damage. And I think it's going to take a long time for us to recover. And the damage I see is in trust of democracy, trust of our democratic system, trust of the judicial system, trust in government's ability to do anything. And I think that really gets right to the very heart of our democracy. And when a lot of people just basically think it's all everybody's corrupt, right? Everything is fixed, everything is fraud. No election, unless I win, no election is legitimate. That's fundamental. That gets right to the soul of America, I think. A long time to recover. And maybe Joe Biden's the one who can repair a lot of that damage. I hope so.
As far as the country is concerned, I certainly hope so and agree with you there, Bill. But I think another thing that this president has done is laid bare the monumental hypocrisy of the Republican Party, or what was the Republican Party. How do you see the GOP, dealing with this loss, and how do you think they're going to be going forward?
I think the Republican Party that we once knew it is dead and is never coming back. There was the question, like, look at the Lincoln Project, look at Bill Kristol, look at some of the other people, Republicans, never Trumpers. And I give them credit. They went out and they didn't just oppose Donald Trump in this last election. They endorsed Joe Biden. And they did it because by the way, if they had their way, they weren't going to turn around and become Democrats. They just wanted to get back in the driver's seat for the Republican Party and do well enough that they could rebuild the Republican Party, the party, let's say, of, you name it, George W. Bush or H.W. Bush, right? It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. The fact that they almost won the House, that they held on to the Senate, that they did so well in the state legislatures, I think it's the Trump party from now on. I hope I'm wrong, but and you know what? They brought it on themselves. Donald Trump didn't take over this party. This party begged Donald Trump to come in. I mean, and I think it was they let the extremists in their party, little by little, Tea Party people, take over. and now they're paying. Now they're paying the price. As far as I don't want to duck your question about Donald Trump. I may be in the minority, but I think people are starting to get tired of Donald Trump. I think the act is really getting old, and I don't care what Donald Trump says that he's going to be the nominee again in 2024. I think he runs out of gas before then.
Well, I won't contradict you on that count, Bill, but let's talk about the Georgia runoff elections, 2 Senate seats. Well, they're still available for the Democrats to win. That would put it 50-50 and give Kamala Harris the tie-breaking vote in the U.S. Senate. That would change the dynamic tremendously. But I'm reading articles that effectively Donald Trump is grifting, taking all the Republican Georgia money away from that race. And Bill, ultimately, I think they went out to D.C. this weekend and they were saying burn down the GOP. That really can't be good for the special election in January. Bill, do you think it bodes well for the Democrats?
By the way, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Donald Trump is not helping things in Georgia, right? He's got his guy down there, Lynn Wood, whom he retweeted today. Lynn Wood is telling Republicans in Georgia to stay home, not to vote in the general election. Donald Trump went down there and gave, an hour-and-a-half speech and barely mentioned Kelly Loeffler or David Perdue. All he talked about was himself. And you're right. Donald Trump is raising money, right, ostensibly for the 2 candidates in Georgia. And all of that money is going into Donald Trump's PAC. And none of that money is going back to Georgia. Donald Trump is doing everything he can to undercut those 2 Republicans in Georgia, which I'm delighted about, because I got to tell you, we got Stacey Abrams, who's a force of nature. And she and her people, I may have mentioned, I interviewed Hank Johnson from Georgia a couple of weeks ago, and he told me, man, they are hungry down there, right? They got her election stolen from them, and then they came back and won Georgia for Joe Biden, and now the same people are out there fired up, ready to go to win for John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, and they're going to do it. I think we take both of those seats.
Nice. Bill Press, talk radio host, liberal pundit, CNN political contributor.
All right, guys.
Happy holidays.
Thanks,
Christmas, Bill. We'll catch up with you in the new year, sir.
All right. Look forward to it. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
More dub.
America has chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. Now it's time to get to work. Time to expand healthcare and tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Time to restore.
Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, man.
Hey, guys. Great.
Time to put this administration to work for us. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
If you believe we the people need an ongoing voice on the radio airwaves, there's never been a more important time to partner with us and support Devil Radio. Small businesses are suffering and our sponsors are already doing what they can. We need your help. This is your station. These are your airwaves, but they're not free. Please give if you're able at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin, or click the Support the Station tab at devilradio927.com. Give now and I pledge you will never hear Christmas music on Devil Radio.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Tune into Sharp Elbows. It's on at 10 a.m. Saturdays with me, Representative Francesca Hong, and my friend Nada Elmakashvi. Every Saturday morning, we want to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the world. Whether it's on the biggest issues, current events, or people who inspire us, let's discuss it all. It's kind of like brunch, but with politics, guests, and callers. No shortage of fun, but also be prepared for some serious truth-telling. Talk to y'all soon.
Sharp Elbows premieres January 2nd, only on Devil Radio 92.7. Supplying your political fix on the back roads from Sauk City to Beaver Dam on WTTN 1580 AM, Devil Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, so relevant they have one foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, Bill Press. He is a liberal talk radio host, pundit, CNN political contributor. And Dominic, I cannot verify this precisely, but I believe he might be the only CNN political contributor that we've ever hotboxed your caddy with.
It's entirely possible.
I'm pretty sure Bill's the unique CNN contributor that's done that with us.
Bill's a cool cat. You can find him on Twitter at BillPressPod. Our friend Bill Press, thanks again, man.
It's been far too long since we've seen Bill in person. We also went out to D.C., and I feel like we damn near hotboxed his studios out there one day, Dom. That's a different story for a different show, though. 844-967-2789. That was the week of Donald Trump's inauguration. And I can tell you this, the hotel price is significantly higher this time for Joe Biden. It's like more people want to go or something, even during a pandemic. Hotel rooms, like $1,500 a night.
Whew.
Yeah, we won't be going.
Yeah, no.
Or we'll be taking the train down from Philly every day. Something like that. Something very convenient.
Yeah.
Just
I
a
think,
short 3-hour train ride each way.
You know, the pandemic, we'll just let that one slide for a little while. There'll be plenty of other opportunities to go to D.C. Let's just get over the hump.
You know, D.C. is only like a 90-minute flight from here.
Yeah.
Who needs to stay? We'll just go out for the party,
commute,
get all hammered, and then take the red eye out overnight. 844-967-2789. At least we got a plan. My plan, getting back to the phones and our fair audience, AJ from Humboldt County.
Get all hammered, but then take the red eye out overnight.
Oh,
AJ, you're catching the radio program in slightly delayed time. You got AJ, turn the radio down. Don't hang up, man. Just turn down the radio, AJ. 844-967-2789. A major faux pas. Mark from the SAC. Do you have your radio up, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
No, I got it turned down.
You're a listening pro. You know how this game's played, don't you, Mark?
I know how the game is played, and I think you made a little slip there before you might have called Right Wisconsin, White Wisconsin. Maybe I misheard that. But I mean,
did I call him White Wisconsin? It could have been White Wisconsin, but I think I said Right Wisconsin. I just slur my words sometimes on the Tuesdays.
It all kind of flows together, Mark.
I'm not sure. It all kind of flows. Yeah, it all kind of flows together. And for Tammy coming on, I know it's sugary sweet, but I mean, I couldn't help but thinking of there's 1957 song called Tammy that I put a little bit of a rewrite out there. I posted it out there, but Tammy.
Who sang Tammy?
What we need is an antidote.
Mark,
Debbie
you got to sing a little of Tammy. I've never heard that tune. How's it go?
Oh, I can't.
Oh no, just a little bit. Just hum a few bars.
I'd have to look at it here. Oh, it goes Tammy, 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 my love. That I got my screen turned off here, but no, she's the antidote for. You know, in fancy, you can probably pull it up really quick. But I mean, it's just I got a bitter taste in my mouth from Ron Johnson, and I think Tammy is the antidote to it because she's a real human being, where Ron Johnson is just I don't know what he is. I mean, he just leaves a sour taste in my mouth every time I see his face. That he might bring good beer, but
is that it?
That's it.
A little Tammy, a long distance.
It's Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds, yep.
Yeah.
You sound just like her, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. A long distance dedication from Mark to Senator Tammy Baldwin, Crudy's guest tomorrow. Thanks for the call, Mark. I'm sure Brian will fix something up for you. Let's get going on the phones, 844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, you are next. Happy days, my friend. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Devils, I love the fact that Tammy is coming on your show. That's totally awesome.
And Crudy, I love the moniker Russian Ron. That should stick for 2022 when he runs for Senate again. And
I don't think that's not a Crudy original. That one had to come from. I'm thinking it was Matt Flynn direct.
Because Chi-Com didn't rhyme.
Russian Ron Johnson, who comes from Wisconsin. I bet he's got a whole poem, Paul.
Well, that's totally awesome. Unless somebody can come up with a better one, I'm sticking with Russian Ron. Have a good day, boys.
Thank you,
All right,
Paul.
let's go. Thanks, buddy.
You know, we do have one friend, Pizza Box Mike, likes to say, nobody wants more Ron Johnson. We want less Ron Johnson. You hear the play on words there. 844-967-2789. AJ, take two from Humboldt County. AJ, we can hear you now, man. Welcome.
Hey, man.
I'm sorry for the disconnect, but hey, how you doing?
Good.
Glad to be on. I was picked up on the congressman's comment that something about a stain on our history, our democracy. So I dialed at that point, but it's still germane. I'm wondering if Barr still, now that he's going to become a private citizen, will still represent Trump on that rape charge. The girl's got the dress with the stain on it. And
I see that the New York Attorney General, I believe a federal judge ruled that the Trump organization must turn over financial documents, I believe, to the New York Attorney General. But I'm not sure about the defamation suit, the woman accusing Trump of raping her. Trump said, no, I didn't. And she sued for rape, for defamation in a civil lawsuit. And then Bill Barr said, we, the United States government's going to stand in for Donald Trump. But I thought that had been dismissed
I think that's
as
correct.
a less than plausible defense for the president.
Yeah, AJ, I think that one's still going to come down, and I don't believe Barr is involved in that as the Attorney General for the United States, and certainly I'd be highly doubtful that he would do it as a private citizen.
AJ, how do you think they're going to take his DNA?
I'm not sure, but there's probably a few people who can have samples of it somewhere. You know what I mean? The way he's gone around in his life. Somebody else might have a little bit of stain, something or other. I don't know, man. I
think they're going to pop in an old Stormy Daniel VHS, give him a cup, and tell him to go to town.
All you got to do is just swab the VHS tape, man. I don't think that's all you need to do.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Got a fine guest joining us in the 4 o'clock happy hour. He's Harvey Kaye, professor of democracy, justice at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. From the Fox Valley, joining us direct next. More Devil's Advocates, the 4 o'clock happy hour. It starts right now.
Russian corruption is like a virus.
This thing's going away. It will go away like things go away.
Well, history's written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history.
This is Tony with Quality CBD. We are located on Willie Street across from the co-op. At Quality CBD, we are vertically integrated. From soil to oil and seed to sale, we grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute quality CBD oil. We also have contact-free delivery options at qualitycbd.org. Quality CBD. Legal, local, legit.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Thom Hartmann Program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
AP News. I'm Ben Thomas. As one COVID-19 vaccine rolls out across the country, a second could be approved for emergency use this week. A preliminary analysis by the Food and Drug Administration has confirmed the effectiveness and safety of the vaccine being developed by Moderna and the National Institutes of Health. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom is joining the call for people to get vaccinated. He says hospital intensive care units are being overwhelmed.
We have to be mindful of how deadly this disease, this pandemic is. Here's what we've just done. We have orders in 60 53-foot refrigerated storage units are currently standing by now in counties and at hospitals. We just had to order 5,000 additional body bags.
Meanwhile, federal regulators have cleared a home test for COVID-19. First, consumers can buy without a prescription. President-elect Joe Biden is expected to nominate a former rival for a cabinet post.
From Mayor Pete to possibly Secretary Pete. 3 people familiar with Biden's plans say he'll tab Pete Buttigieg as transportation secretary. The 38-year-old former South Bend, Indiana mayor was the Democratic primary's breakout star before backing Biden, who compares Buttigieg to his late son Beau, saying there's no higher compliment he can give. The Transportation Department's poised to play a key role early in Biden's administration. He's pledged major infrastructure boosts, which can be a bipartisan issue, though President Trump's promises to get a major bill passed never materialized. Sagar Magani, Washington.
At the White House, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany was asked if President Trump would be against the Senate taking up Biden nominees before the inauguration.
We won't get ahead of that activity actually happening, but he has taken all statutory requirements necessary to either ensure a smooth transition or a continuation of power.
This is AP News.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just 2 buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say? Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com. Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Madison, you say what? Each weeknight from 5 to 6.
Hello, Harvey.
On a single day of the Earl Ingram Show, right here on Devil Radio 92.
Harvey, are you there?
1580 AM.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear us?
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN.
Yes, I can.
You can hear me fine?
I'm Luke Mathers
Can you
with
hear
the
us?
headlines for Tuesday, December 15th.
I can't hear you.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court upheld Joe
I
Biden's
want you to.
Wisconsin win Monday, handing President Donald Trump a defeat less than an hour before the Electoral College met.
Switch.
The 4-3 ruling was the latest in a string of dozens of losses for the president across the country as Republicans
But I want you to be able to hear
last-gasp
us.
efforts to give Trump a second term.
Check,
Just
check,
after the decision
checking
was
to
issued,
you.
the Electoral College cemented Biden's
Yes, I
national
can.
victory.
Am I clear?
A new review released by the
You're clear enough. You're not as clear as you were
Legislative
before, but you
shows in
sound
many
great.
cases, delays in unemployment claims being completed in Wisconsin
understandable.
was caused by overwhelmed Department of Workforce Development staff who have been slammed by an unprecedented number of claims as a result of the pandemic. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN, 1580 AM.
How does that sound now?
Sounds great. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Warning.
Great.
You
You
are
sound
about to
great,
listen to
man.
the greatest radio show
We're
ever.
starting the show right now.
And due to contractual obligations,
All right, my
and to
friend.
shield
Thank
our
you.
airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic sliding into the 4 o'clock Tuesday happy hour, and we're happy to welcome a fine guest live via Zoom. He's Harvey Kaye, professor of democracy and justice studies at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Dr. Kaye, welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, I don't know if anyone knows it, but I'm often on this station because
I'm quite aware, sir. You're
okay.
on the Jeff show that plays out here 7
That's right.
Central Time. A frequent guest. I hear you often, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you, Harvey.
Harvey, let me ask you, professor of democracy and justice studies, in the current history we live in, sir, do you feel like you're more or less relevant?
I feel like I'm more relevant, less often listened to.
Harvey, what's been your take on this whole failure to acknowledge the outcome of the election? Obviously, 6 weeks from the election day, 6 weeks ago today. And Harvey, it's just now that, the Republican leadership starting to acknowledge the outcome of the election. And by Republican leadership, of course, we mean Mitch McConnell and Vladimir Putin, sir.
Yeah, and am I wrong in saying that Putin acknowledged the victory by Biden before McConnell? Is that not the case?
And before U.S. Senator Ron Johnson of the great state of Wisconsin.
Well, Harvey, I thought you never really want to get out in front of the boss on these things. So that's why the Republicans kind of laid back, waited for Putin to make his move. And now apparently they got the go-ahead.
Wait, has Ron Johnson finally deferred or not?
He has. He said it was a legitimate election, apparently being quoted by Craig Gilbert at the Journal Sentinel this afternoon, sir.
Oh, okay. A big concession, right?
I thought he might be the one that would challenge the Electoral College on January 6th. I thought he might be that senator. Harvey.
It's not done yet, Harvey.
Well, there are so many theories about all this. So, one of the theories is that Trump is just literally trying to raise more and more of a war chest for whatever he intends to do next. If he wants to be on the campaign trail all the way to 2024. That's first. Another one is that this is all just a big con because he's really looking to launch a Murdoch-like media network, right? And then the other one is that he's just truly, truly so angry that he utterly look, he's been subverting American democratic life for 4 years, maybe even before that, by way of the campaigns he launched along the way. Clearly, he has a stake in the subversion of American democracy, and it's striking that he's holding out as long as he is. Likely he'll never concede. He won't show up at the inauguration. He'll retreat to Mar-a-Lago, and he'll run a series of campaign initiatives from there. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's basically what I expect.
What about the bootlickers, the sycophants, the Ron Johnsons that basically have enabled this corrupted presidency? How do you think history will judge Dominic's pal Ron Johnson?
Well, let's put it this way. History will judge them poorly, okay? We'll judge them poorly unless we lose. In other words, if democracy collapses, then those folks will be treated by the historians who follow, the sycophantic historians, you might say, as if, the old story, to the victor goes the spoils. Well, to the victors often goes history. Let's hope we don't have to suffer that. But it is the case right now that we shouldn't forget this, that he pulled in, 70 something million votes, Donald Trump. The Democrats did not take Senate seats and actually lost seats in the House. So I can breathe a sigh of relief that Biden has won, but I am seriously concerned about the future of the Democratic Party, because I think the future of the Democratic Party's future hangs the future of the nation.
Well, Harvey, Kaye, Donald Trump only lost the state of Wisconsin by one conservative justice's vote on the Supreme Court. I mean, really, it was a 4-3 ruling. Had it not been for Brian Hagedorn, a former Walker lawyer, I mean, quite frankly, we had 3 conservatives willing to throw out thousands of votes and perhaps the will of Wisconsin voters, Harvey.
Right, and over in Michigan, there were those two were they congressional representatives or whatever who were going to balk at the proceedings, and Trump brought them into, or they were state representatives, whatever it was. The point is, here in the upper Midwest, and I came out to the upper Midwest almost 43 years ago. I started in Minnesota for a year, and then I came to Green Bay. And I actually thought that Wisconsin would be the historically progressive state when I came. I'm getting laughed at. And it turned out that Minnesota would turn out in that direction. And, look, this is a state that launched, you might say, the progressive with a capital P party and La Follette family. Okay. And now here we are, utterly divided, not unlike the rest of the nation. A Republican legislature, a Democratic governor who we all happily saw win, but who has really not yet learned how to use the bully pulpit against his enemies. I mean, we face a lot of problems in this state, not unlike the problems across the nation right now, because I don't think Biden has quite learned. I mean, the guy has quite a temper, apparently. I mean, we've heard it recently, but he hasn't learned how to really strangely enough, to master the media and rally Americans behind an agenda.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Our fine guest, Dr. Harvey Kaye, professor of democracy and justice studies, a little more relevant than my major in college, from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Harvey, don't you think that the state of Wisconsin for the last 10 years has sort of been a prelude to what was coming next on a federal level? Scott Walker and his divide and conquer politics and the ends justify the means politics and by any means necessary politics. We've seen this before. It started here, seemingly, Harvey.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Koch brothers were very, very eager to take down the Democratic possibilities in the state. We know of that case where the radio host called into Walker and basically, faked him into believing that it was the Koch, David Koch was calling. And moreover, shows how little taste they had, as much as they destroyed Wisconsin in the short term, is that they actually believed they could propel Scott Walker from Wisconsin to the presidency of the United States without realizing that he was utterly a dullard. I mean, Scott Walker was a dullard. He even showed up as a dullard compared to those other dullard Republicans in the clown car that year.
There was an article in New Republic in 2014 as Walker was gearing up for his presidential run. I believe the title of that article was The Unelectable Whiteness of Scott Walker. And the New Republic author, I believe it was Alec McGinnis that wrote that article, said effectively Scott Walker was a product of right-wing talk radio Harvey, in the state of Wisconsin, we got 81 right-wing talk radio outlets, and they are putting forth most of the Trump-supported propaganda. Want to get your take on the righty-whitey talkers, sir?
Well, look, for a start, consider this. We have no progressive radio station in Northeast Wisconsin. I mean, there is none. I mean, there are some centrist types, but there is no. So I'm very happy to know that there's Devil's Radio down in Madison. And I want to add, and I'm not trying to patronize, you want to add that I apparently have a following across the nation, which is magnificent. And I want to be back on the show more, period. Okay. But having said that, look, I remember when Rush Limbaugh set out, to conquer the airwaves. And between him and it's the Clearwater Network, whatever they're called nowadays.
Heartless Radio.
What's that called?
Well, they're called iHeart. I call them
Heartless Radio. No, absolutely. Look, I don't know if people realize, I mean, I'm 70 now, 71, in fact. And I remember them driving off liberal and progressive voices from radio. And the fact that maybe every state has one truly progressive radio host. I mean, there's obviously the internet possibilities. It's striking that we've endured all of this. It's even striking that progressivism survives in spite of all of this radio. And that's the thing we ought to be considering. And how do we build on that? Okay. How do we build on the network of people around the country who are progressive radio people? How do we build on the network of people who are podcasters? What do we do to create a new sensibility, a new set of ideas in America that working people can recognize as their own? That to me is the big question.
Harvey, Kaye, Professor of Democracy and Justice Studies, UWGB, joining us for about 2 more minutes. Harvey, you said something I want to get your thoughts on. That something to the effect that as the Democratic Party goes, so goes this country. I know you're also an author, did some research on oh hell! I just lost my.
Should I guess? Franklin Roosevelt?
Yes, thank you. FDR. Thank you. Do we have Harvey? Is that what it's going to take for this country to get another FDR? Do we have candidates that you think would fit that bill, and you think that's what the Democratic Party is going to need to lead the rest of the country?
Well, let me put it this way. I think that the crisis that we're in right now is comparable to the crisis of the 1770s, the 1860s, and the 1930s and 40s. That is, we are in the midst of a mortal crisis regarding the future of the United States. And in the 1770s, we staged a revolution. In the 1860s, we elected Lincoln, and we suffered a civil war, but it was the case that we transcended that war by emancipating the slaves in response to their own demands. And in the 1930s, Franklin Roosevelt was elected and empowered working people, and they elected him 4 times to the presidency, and we transcended the crisis by empowering working people. So look, I mean, I'll tell you quite frankly, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I go back, I remember buying the magazine In These Times, a left magazine, whenever I'd be down in Madison, and I thought, wow.
Hey, Harvey, sorry to cut you short, man. We'll have you back soon. Harvey Kaye, Professor of Democracy, Justice Studies, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. More Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Harvey.
Thank you, Harvey.
Thank you.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon. You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP. You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
Now go home and get your f***ing shine box.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Tune into Sharp Elbows. It's on at 10 a.m. Saturdays with me, Representative Francesca Hong, and my friend Nada Elmakashvi. Every Saturday morning, we want to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the world. Whether it's on the biggest issues, current events, or people who inspire us, let's discuss it all. It's kind of like brunch, but with politics, guests, and callers. No shortage of fun, but also be prepared for some serious truth-telling. Talk to y'all soon.
Sharp Elbows airs Saturdays 10 a.m. only on Devil Radio 92.7.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for The Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
I am once again asking you to listen to Devil Radio 92.7 FM. I believe they have the moral fiber to create a progressive movement in Wisconsin and indeed in America.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, Dr. Harvey Kaye, Professor of Democracy and Justice Studies, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. We'll welcome him back in the new year, I suspect.
Oh, absolutely.
And
lots
Harvey,
of questions for Harvey.
Harvey Kaye, a frequent guest on the Jeff Santos show. That plays out. If you haven't been listening, you better. 7 to 10 p.m. Central Time right here on Devil Radio 92.7. Jeff Santos show, often featuring Harvey Kaye from the great state of Wisconsin.
Poor guy's on an island up there in northeast Wisconsin. There's like nothing to listen to on the radio.
Stream us, Harvey. Stream us. We got a great lineup. We're doing 7 hours a day of locally centered live talk radio right here on Devil Radio.
He's not the only one, man. We've been getting emails from people up in Green Bay wanting to know how, we need something like this. Devil's Advocates up here. How can we do that? How can we? I'm like,
I've got the long answer, but here's the short answer, boys. It takes a lot of money. You get your money together. You call me. I'll put the rest of the plan into play for you. But the one element I lack, lots of money, Dom. I used to have more. Now I have less. But anyways, enjoy spending the afternoons on you, on the airwaves with you, Dominic, and you, the fair audience. 844-967-2789. Thank you, Harvey Kaye. Welcoming very soon, Dom, Erin Forrest, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin. Erin's been on the show many times through the years. Fine program she runs. And one of the topics I told Erin I wanted to talk about, Dr. Jill Biden, a doctorate, not an MD, but she's got her doctorate, and she is being called Dr. Jill Biden. Not First Lady in Waiting or something of that sort, but by her honorary title. Well, Fox News' Tucker Carlson's taken some issue with that. The headline here at thehill.com, Tucker Carlson mocks Jill Biden. She's a doctor in the same sense Dr. Pepper is.
Oh, it's terrible.
Fox News host Tucker Carlson took aim at incoming First Lady Jill Biden on Monday evening, downplaying her doctoral degree in education amid the escalating controversy over whether she should use the prefix doctor. Jill Biden is not a doctor, no, Carlson said in a nightly program. Maybe in the same sense Dr. Pepper is. He added Biden has the same degree as Dr. Bill Cosby. Education, I can't believe these Republicans would so hate educators and those that would seek higher degrees in the field of education. We're going to have Dr. Tim Slecker on later today. Educated educators talking education. They do so right here on Devil Radio. That comes on at 7 with Dr. Tim. But anyways, back to the Hill piece. Biden, a community college teacher, earned a doctorate of education from the University of Delaware in 2017. Wonder where Tucker Carlson got his doctorate at, Tom? An op-ed
Trump University, of course.
An op-ed in the Wall Street Journal last week sparked backlash after it suggested Jill Biden, dropped the doctor from her name, questioning her credentials. A wise man once said that no one should call himself a doctor unless he has delivered a child. I think Joe Biden has delivered children, her own. Reading on, critics slammed the piece as sexist and tone deaf, while the journal's editors defended its publication. Biden herself responded to the article in a tweet on Sunday evening, saying, "Together we will build a world where the accomplishment of our daughters will be celebrated rather than diminished."
Beautiful.
I saw a tweet that very same night the Wall Street Journal article, op-ed published, said, he could have saved a lot of words and just said something to the effect, "I remember when women didn't have to be respected." Dominic Carlson, a frequent critic of President-elect Joe Biden, mocked the incoming First Lady, saying she is suffering from a very serious case of status anxiety. Other conservative pundits and critics of the Bidens made similar comments over the weekend and on Monday, suggesting Biden is engaged in selective outrage or being egotistical when it comes to her title. Several of Biden's close allies came to her defense following the editorial publication, including former First Lady Michelle Obama, now Dr. Michelle Obama, right, Dom? The husband, and the husband of Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Well, what say you, fella? Dr. Jill Biden.
They call me Dr. Love. Of course, this is absolutely ridiculous. And it's not that, only a doctor who is a medical doctor can be called a doctor, because that's what they think. They watch television. Trapper John, MD. Well, it's a medical doctor. He's a doctor. No, it's ignorance on their side, without question. I would also say and wonder of Carlson and any of the other Republicans out there who are right now, thinking that this is a good criticism, a strong line of attack against this, incoming First Lady. Number one, why don't you Google Melania Trump, see on the internet, see what you come up with. And number two, didn't Dr. Martin Luther King, was he a medical doctor? And now do you think perhaps, Carlson, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. should drop? We should not refer to him as such as well? Asking for a friend. It's ridiculous. It's misogynistic, and it's totally predictable given Carlson and the Republicans. And for the Wall Street Journal to put that out there, I mean, ultimately, why is this now an issue? Why would someone even suggest that? I mean, literally, for real. I mean, she's an educated woman. She deserves it. She wants to put it in front of her name. That's her right to do so. I mean, it would be one thing if she didn't have a doctorate. She's got a doctorate. You can do that if you want.
Tucker Carlson, a graduate, I believe he graduated, unlike Scott Walker, from Trinity College.
Oh, great.
That's the second oldest college in Connecticut, Dom.
Trinity?
Trinity. Come back with us.
Yeah, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit are in one God.
No, I believe in the Devil's Triangle. Come back. A fine guest, Erin Forrest, Executive Director of Merch Wisconsin, joins us. We welcome her back next. More Devil's Advocates, the happy hour. It continues.
I love women, but they're extremely primitive. They're basic. They're not that hard to understand.
Oh, I'm going to hit the pause button right there.
Devil's Triangle.
With better reception than their tinfoil hats, why listen to any other station? 92.7 FM and WGTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for Devil Radio.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business. Team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Learn how to store your gun securely and make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire. Brady.
Biden and McConnell. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell finally agrees President-elect Joe Biden won the election, saying the Electoral College has spoken. Biden telling reporters they talked on the phone.
I called him to thank him for the congratulations. Told him, although we disagree on a lot of things, there's things we can work together on.
Biden is to campaign this evening in Georgia for 2 Democrats in Senate runoff elections. The White House reaction to McConnell's statement, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany.
I haven't gotten the president's reaction to that yet, but the president, again, is pursuing ongoing litigation, would refer you to the campaign for further.
A major winter storm could bring heavy snow from the mid-Atlantic to the Northeast starting tomorrow through Thursday. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio.
People need to take it seriously. You need to be ready for a disruptive storm and start to make adjustments right now.
Tens of millions of people are aware the forecasts call for up to a foot of snow in some areas. I'm Tim McGuire.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 15th. 11 months after Wisconsin had its first confirmed case of COVID-19, a vaccine made by Pfizer that can prevent the disease has arrived in the state and is being given to frontline healthcare workers. 77 more Wisconsinites are hospitalized on Monday. New reports of COVID-19 cases are on the decline in Wisconsin based on the latest data from the State Department of Health Services. The department reported 2,122 new cases of the disease Monday, bringing the average for the past 7 days to 3,509 daily cases. Partly cloudy skies this morning, turning to overcast this afternoon. Light variable winds throughout the day. High of 23 degrees, low of 20 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. The 4 o'clock happy hour, it continues. Dominic, another fine guest live via phone. She is Erin Forrest, Executive Director of Merge Wisconsin. We welcome her back. Erin, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thanks, Erin.
Well, Erin, 6 weeks after the election, can we now finally celebrate not just President-elect Joe Biden's victory, but also Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's victory? Erin, does it feel good to say that, even if it took 6 weeks?
I don't know about you. I've been celebrating like 4 to 5 times a week every time they win.
Erin,
not stop.
That's a lot of celebration, Erin.
You know, before
So
this
much celebration.
Before this year, Joe Biden was 0 for 2 in presidential races. Now he's like 56 and 2, Erin.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. They have won this election so many times.
Erin, how much do you think female voters factored into the loss for Trump and the victory for Biden?
Oh, huge. I think we know that it was huge. There was the gender gap isn't as big as I think it should be, because I think it should be 100%. But it was huge and expected, right? And I think we continue to see some of the things that we saw in 2018, which was suburban women, particularly, but lots of other women who took a very hard turn away from the Republican Party, and I don't think they're going back.
Erin, could it have been the misogynistic leadership of Trump in this GOP party? Do you think women are starting to notice that, the Republicans don't like them so much?
Yeah, some of us are big fans of being treated like people. Others apparently less so. But yeah, no, and it's absolutely the misogyny. I don't think it's just the misogyny. I think it's the overall vileness, right? I think, and how I think the cruelty is the point. How cruel this administration has been to all sorts of different people, and the incompetence. So it's the misogyny, but I think it's the cruelty more than that is what really did it. Because unfortunately, a lot of women are sexist too. But the way that this administration behaved was a huge turnoff. So,
folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got to find guests live via phone. She is Erin Forrest, Executive Director, Emerge Wisconsin. And Erin, for those unfamiliar, tell us at least briefly about your Fine Emerge Wisconsin program.
Sure. So in the before times and in the hopefully post-vaccine times, Emerge Wisconsin is a cohort-based month-over-month training program for Democratic women who want to run for public office. Typically, we train one cohort of 25-ish women a year, and we meet one weekend a month for 6 months and have them get to know each other and get to know trainers in the program, and teach them campaign skills and help them sort of figure out how all of the other things they've done in their lives apply both to running for office and holding public office.
And Erin, we know that we saw a number of female candidates. We've got a new female state senator, actually two of them from the Madison area, Melissa Sargent Agard, and of course, Kelda Royce. And then we also saw some down the ticket, some assembly members. Robin Viting won re-election. That was encouraging. Sarah Rodriguez won an assembly seat from Milwaukee. Erin, how much credit can your organization take in helping to prepare some of these fine candidates to actually win office, not just run for office?
I think we can take some. The other one that you didn't mention is Deb Andraka, who won a Milwaukee area.
She's my representative, Erin. Yes.
Oh, congratulations. She's great. I trained her. I can't take credit for her win. Her hard work gets the credit for that. But we did train her. We also trained the woman who ran for that seat last cycle, and I think Liz Sumner, who I think laid a lot of groundwork in her very narrow loss last time for Deb to win this time, right? And so it's even when we lose, we're putting up candidates who work really hard and run good races and are helping build the infrastructure, are out there talking to voters, and I really believe are contributing to the long-term change in some of these places. So folks like Robin and Sarah, who we didn't train, I still have relationships with. I still try to be helpful where I can. So we can take even less credit for them. But as an organization, our first priority is to support the current program members and the alums of our organization. But the mission is to elect Democratic women. And so I try to have a good relationship with all, especially the legislature, but in other local elected bodies too, with all the Democratic women, because I want all of them to succeed and do well, and I want there to be more of them, whether we trained them or not.
Erin, we've been talking for years, and we've had this back and forth for many years, and I do appreciate it, and I miss seeing you around at the events, and notwithstanding the COVID and the inability for us to get together, personally, and meet and train and do all those things that are important. Over the course of the last 4 years during the Trump administration, have you altered? Have you adjusted? How have you adapted the training for the female candidates that you try to help out, given the circumstances that this administration has presented to us? Are there other issues that need to be addressed that perhaps were not as big of an issue prior to Donald Trump becoming president and now dealing with this current reality that we have?
Boy, that's a great question. So the structure of the training stays the same, again, when there's not a global pandemic.
Right.
But the content, we sort of adapt and change every year. So it's hard to say like what we attribute, directly to the Trump administration and what is just sort of the proactive change we try to make every time. So the program's a lot different than it was 4 or 6 years ago, in part just because running for office is so much different, right? Like you have to do, whether there was a pandemic or not, most of these folks running for any sort of even competitive local office are going to have to know how to run some digital ads. And right, like digital has become much more important. It hasn't replaced all of the other things that you need to do. But there's definitely more of an emphasis on that now. Unfortunately, I think that it has gotten the sort of the misogyny that women in public office deal with has gotten worse. There are definitely people who are emboldened by Donald Trump and the Trump administration and by the way that some of these people talk and behave themselves. But unfortunately, women in public office were getting harassed and threatened before Donald Trump too. So we were already dealing with that.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates. Erin Forrest, Emerge Wisconsin, our fine guest. Erin, got to ask you a little bit of a controversy. I don't think it should have been, but some jacknut wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal, published it, effectively saying Dr. Joe Biden should drop the use of the term doctor. And it went on in the opening statement, something like, drop the doctor, kiddo. I want to get your first reaction when you read that article. And what'd you think, Erin?
I think we don't use those words on the radio machine. But also, I mean, it's just so, she got her doctorate when she was 55 years old. Did you know that? Like, I don't have a doctorate, but I've watched friends get their PhD. The idea that she should drop the doctorate, a title that she is rightfully proud of, is so ridiculous. And I feel like I also just want to let the Wall Street Journal know that like you don't have to publish that op-ed. You don't have to publish it. And at some point, I would really like to have a conversation about when we stop posting sexist and racist hotcakes for the sake of posting them. Like, what is the point of putting more blatant misogyny out into a world that is already chock full of it? Like, why? It was so unnecessary on so many levels. And it's just like, of all of the things to be critical of someone about, it was bizarre and enraging. But I did sort of, I mean, it's been a good conversation, I think, with folks who maybe haven't wanted to use their title and now are being a little more out and proud about it because of it. So I think I'm ready to be done with this part of it, right? Like we don't need to do this anymore. And I'm really pumped. Like, I think that, I mean, Dr. Joe Biden is incredible. incredible. Like if you've read anything by her students or other people she's interacted with professionally, like she has a really amazing legacy outside of being second lady and now being first lady again, right? And she should get to own that. The other thing that I'm excited about is second gentleman Doug Emhoff. Obviously, I am over the moon excited about Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, but Doug Emhoff is, I think, going to be setting an example for men in this country that needs to be set about how to be married to a brilliant, ambitious woman, and I am totally psyched for it. I cannot wait. I love Doug.
Erin, let me ask you, Tucker Carlson of Foxy News fame not only attacked Dr. Jill for her honorary title, but also did so in what seems to me to be an anti-intellectual fashion. Republicans seemingly, they resent those that would educate themselves. And the fact that she has the degree in education, he analogized her to Dr. Bill Cosby, to further add insult to injury. What is it about Republicans and their anti-intellectualism?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. First off, I would like to say, why is Tucker Carlson? But secondly, I think I actually have a theory around this that actually is about sexism. And so it's not, there's no one thing, right, that causes this anti-intellectualism, anti-expert thing that we clearly have a huge problem with as a country right now. But one of the things that's happened over the last couple of decades is that women have started having more success in academic settings. We're doing better in school broadly than men are. We're now starting to get more advanced degrees than men are. And as this is happening, the country seems to be losing respect for expertise as a whole. And the thing that sort of freaks me out about it or leads me down this path is when we talk about issues of equal pay, and you really start digging into the research there, you find out that not only are women paid less for doing the same jobs that men are, but when women take over a field, the pay for that field drops. Because any work that women do becomes women's work, and then we don't value it anymore. Even though we valued it when men were doing it, it's the same job. When women are doing it, we pay less for it, which is absolutely insane. And also my fear about what's happening with some of this anti-intellectual stuff. I know it's not the only thing, but I think sexism is actually part of it.
Erin Forrest, our fine guest. Thank you so much, Erin, the executive director of Emerge Wisconsin. We'll be right back. More of your phone calls next.
American women deserve better, and American women are here to fight back.
We did it. All across this nation, voters like you turned out in record numbers to elect Joe Biden. Now, it's time to come together to address the issues that matter most: tackling climate change, expanding access to healthcare, ensuring racial justice, and putting Americans back to work. Text ACT to 668366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Hold.moveon.org not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com. My life's mission was to defeat Donald Trump and turn Wisconsin blue. Mission accomplished, but the battle has only just begun. Devil Radio and WTTN 1580 AM have continued broadcasting the truth, persevering through the pandemic, supporting public health professionals, and turning out the vote in Madison and Dane County in record numbers. Can you help us survive and thrive for the battles to come? Please consider giving a contribution at GoFundMe. Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. Every dollar helps us continue and makes us stronger.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Five Nines, your local single source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive news talk from Black Earth to Columbus. Always streaming at DARNWI.com.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looks so good.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, please pick up the phone and dial right now. 844-967-2789. Quickly got to send out a shout out to our pal Terry over at the Roman Coin. My favorite corner pub 54 years ago today. They opened their doors. Congratulations. I look forward to seeing you real soon.
The Roman Coin!
The Roman Coin!
Thank you to our most recent guest, Erin Forrest, Executive Director of Merch Wisconsin. They're doing the God's work over there. Appreciate you joining us here on the Devil's Advocates, and lots of people got something to say this afternoon. Dom, let's get back to the phones at 844-967-2789. Our pal, Jeannie from Eau Claire. Welcome back, Jeannie. What do you got for us?
Hey, Jean.
Great show as usual. Brian's got the moves. And you guys, I strongly recommend everybody go to YouTube and get up the Devil's Advocates radio show. You guys are great to watch. I just love it. And then I got a comment regarding the A-Bong from Fox News going after our new First Lady to be. I mean, come on, that guy is such a dumb, you know what? And I don't know, he probably bought his degree if he's even got one. And then Betsy DeVos, like the education specialist, not. And she probably couldn't even teach a class if she, you know, tried her heart out. It's so ridiculous. These people are so sick, and I'm going to be so thankful when the new administration gets in. It will be a great day, and we'll all be dancing in the streets. So thanks, guys, for the great show.
Well, thank you, Jeannie, for listening to it. But here's the bad news.
What?
Tucker Carlson's probably the Republican 2024 frontrunner. Tucker ain't going anywhere. He's platforming for his own presidential run.
What? Come on.
Yeah. Him and Don Jr. are the Republican frontrunners.
Whatever, dude. That's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, because a party that put a reality star at the top of the ticket would never pick a Fox News star. That seems so far-fetched to me. No. I think on this case,
I hear
right.
what you're saying. I believe that you believe what you're telling me, but I don't think that's going to happen for a freaking minute. Tucker Carlson, President Tucker? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that sounds as absurd as President Trump. 844-967-2789.
Yeah, because that worked out so well for this country. The guy got thrown out on his ass. I mean, really.
That's only if you believe the fake news media.
You think Tucker Carlson is going to emerge as the 2024 presidential candidate?
Yes.
Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
The guy who just said
very plausible.
The first lady is more like Dr. Pepper. That guy?
I think that makes him more appealing to the base, Dom. What do you think appeals to these freaking Republicans?
Donald
73 million of
Trump
them.
appeals to these Republicans.
And who's the highest rated TV star in America right now on cable news? Tucker Carlson.
Okay, so he's going to give that up to what? Be the next President Donald Trump?
Well, there might be more money in campaigning for the presidency, but if one has a tremendous ego, and Tucker certainly does.
Well, you got a tremendous ego. I don't see you running for president.
I don't have a Fox News platform where I might run for president, Dom.
Come on.
844-967-2789.
That's funny, too.
Joe from Stevens Point. Welcome back, Joe. What do you got for us?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Hey, you know what? I saw that poll too, and it's scary. Those guys, it is the Stepford Republicans are taking prominent positions, and that polling consolidated like massive support for it's Donald Trump's party now. And so, yeah, you know, it's a cult thing. They could look at you with like just bright psycho eyeballs, and honestly, they think that the election was truly stolen. So, you know, they're lit up, man. And so, hey, but anyways, you know, I didn't call to talk about that. I just wanted to give a shout out. The first night I heard Jeff Santos, Harvey Kaye was on there.
Yeah.
And man, you know what? That is really a good addition. I'm glad you guys introduced me to Jeff Santos. And Harvey Kaye, man, I've seen him on a lot of these YouTube shows, and he's really, boy, talk about FDR, man. That guy can give you a great rundown of what time it is. And then Bill Press, man, what a blast from the past. I forgot about Bill, to be quite honest. It was good to hear him, man. I wish you guys could fit him in somewhere to the
Bill's not even doing come on, man. Don't blame me if Bill's not in the lineup. We would have had Bill Press on for the last 4 years, but Bill's not doing a radio show consistently. Yeah. I think he does like a once weekly podcast. It's not quite the same, Joe.
No, it's not, Joe, but, you know, Bill's a cool cat. He's been around a long time, so it's always good to catch up with Bill. And he's always been really great to us, man. Anytime we needed something, we went around. He was very supportive of us, and so we appreciate that. And yeah, Harvey, man, again, you know, we got the best audience in the world, and they suggested we get him on, and yeah, he's right in our backyard, and he's got a lot to say. And he's a great dude, so I look forward to having him on.
I can't wait to meet Harvey in person and see if he wants to go hotbox the caddy.
Hey, what does hotbox mean, you guys? What does that term mean?
Have you ever seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where Spicoli rolls up at the high school and they open up the van door and all the smoke comes rolling out? That was like our first night meeting Bill Press. After a book event that we hosted Bill Press in town, we showed him a good time. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, what a charming time that must have been.
Hey, Bill even still talks about it.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
You guys are epic, man. I appreciate the time, and we'll catch up with you later.
All right. Thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
844-967-2789. Dick Hotbox in the garage in Madison. Welcome back, Dick. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dick.
Hey, to this guy that, you know, if you haven't delivered a baby, you're not a doctor. Well, you know, heaven forbid. Hey, Tucker, if you ever have to have heart surgery, does that mean our cardiologist isn't a doctor? Or your brain surgeon isn't a doctor?
Well, they can call themselves by their name, but just shouldn't throw the doctor out in front.
Right. But, you know, hey, even Jethro at one point called himself a doctor.
I prefer Esquire, Dick.
Dick, appreciate the call. You know, technically, when I was in the U.S. military, I got my civilian EMT training, my certificate. And part of that, I had to learn how to birth the baby. You know, be the catcher, if you will. So I was then doctor.
I'm not clear on that, Maestro.
You can just call me Doc Crute or Dr. Love, either one. Loved all our fine guests today. They included Congressman Mark Pocan, Talker Bill Press, Professor Harvey Kaye, and a fine political driving force behind Emerge Wisconsin, Erin Forrest. Thank you all for listening. Stick around. Our pal Earl Ingram is next. And then Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. And then Dr. Tim Slecker, Educated Educators Talking Education, Busted Pencils, later on this fine Devil Radio 92.7. Thank you all for listening. I got to stick around for like 3 more hours tonight.
I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me.
I'm not certain I agree with your characterization.
Frankly, Putin is backing a person that's truly an evil person.
You are one pathetic loser.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with